Round 3 of the Goodyear Autocare Warana SuperSeries brings us to Hungary for the first time ever and brings us to SuperSprint racing for the first of 2 occasions this season. It's been a cracking season to this point. 2 rounds, 2 different winners, no shortage of drama and excitement. And that's expected to continue here tonight as we go sprint racing, reverse grid racing, for the first of 2 opportunities to do so this season on a track where overtaking is extremely difficult, which means that this is a night well worth the price of admission. Fireworks to wait as we get stuck into Tuesday Night Motorsport on the platforms of SimShed Broadcasting. Good evening, everybody. Zach Cabin and JP with you as we go racing once again in the Goodyear Autocare Warana SuperSeries for Real Sim Racing Australia. And JP, 2 rounds thus far, 2 different winners, but Rehan Leonage, by virtue of the fact that he had a clean race last week, has 2 round wins to his name, which is quite extraordinary. And the fact of the matter is that when you look at the maths of the situation, it's quite compelling. Coming into this round, he has a 7-point championship lead, and we know that 1 is all you need when you look back to what happened in Season 1.
Yeah, good evening, Zach, and good evening, all the viewers watching tonight. He's got a 7-point lead. He's leading the championship. He's the guy to beat at the moment, and he's really buoyed by last week and the week before's results.
It certainly is. In fact, let's remind everybody of where we're going and what we're doing if we can, JP, and have a look at the calendar at this point, because obviously 2 rounds down, but 9 rounds still to go. And the fact of the matter is that when you look at the calendar, well, we've got a mix of sprint, super sprint, and endurance races. And of course, at the end of the year, we have the 3rd and final leg of the Triple Crown over 1,000 kilometres at Mount Panorama. So the Circuit of Barcelona, Catalunya behind us. So too Suzuka. Rehan Leonage with the 1st and a 2nd in the first 2 rounds is the championship leader. Now we come to the Hungaroring, a circuit notoriously difficult for overtaking, which I've mentioned in the opener and will mention right throughout the night, because that is going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons when we get stuck into the reverse grid race. Next week, the first leg of the Triple Crown from Long Beach, then on to Circuit of the Americas, then on to another Enduro. And of course, next week being Long Beach, that's a long slog around there over 64 laps. That'll be definitely up around the 170, 180 kilometre mark next week, which we're looking forward to. Circuit of the Americas. So essentially, JP, when you look at the calendar now, it's different formats in different weeks. Super Sprint, Triple Crown, Sprint, Endurance. The guys have got their work cut out for them over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, the next few weeks is really going to test these guys out. We're not letting up on them, and then we're going to finish with a big one with the Bathurst 1000. So drivers are going to team up, and they'll be doing that 1,000 kilometre slog, 161 laps around the awesome Mount Panorama circuit.
We'll hopefully start teasing you with some little bits and pieces of information as we go here, ladies and gentlemen, in the build-up to the 1000 on Sunday, December 12, and we will be live from 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. That's the interesting thing. A lot of people say to me, Bathurst used to be one of those things where you hop up at sunrise and you go to bed at dark. Now you can sleep until 10 o'clock and you don't miss a thing. Not with us, you don't. You're going to have to be up at sunrise if you're in Western Australia. You're going to have to be up early if you're in Queensland, the Northern Territory. In fact, the drivers are going to have to be up at sunrise in most parts of the country, because we get underway nice and early. We will be live at 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. The race start will be either 9:30 or 10 o'clock. I'm not 100% sure on that, but we're looking forward to a full day on Sunday, December 12. And if you're a cricket fan, you got your fingers crossed that the England team fold and capitulate within 4 days, so that you don't have to choose between our Bathurst and day 5 of the first test of the Ashes. Not that it should be a choice. 10 minutes to go in qualifying here for this round of the championship. Probably an opportune moment to have a look at the championship points for this round. We are on air a little bit earlier tonight due to the fact that there is no warm-up session between qualifying and Heat 1. There is a warm-up session between Heat 1 and Heat 2. So we will get to that a little bit later on. Let's have a look at the championship points as they stand after 2 rounds. As I say, Rehan Leonage, a race win in round 1, a round win in round 2, 303 plays. Brian Borg and Dylan Rudd on 296 apiece, of course. Nice bounce back from Dylan Rudd last week. Brian Borg will be hoping to continue his consistent run, but also hoping to take a win or two along the way here as well. You can never discount Rainer Costello, who held his own last week on the Suzuka Grand Prix circuit.
Sorry, Zach, something big here. Rainer Costello, currently sitting second in qualifying, has had to tow back to the pits. So he will be starting the race from the pits. So Rainer's bad luck has followed him into season 3.
You have got to be kidding me. Fair dinkum. Wow. That's, and see, this is the thing. See, this is one of those things, JP, where, well, let me come back to the championship points in just a moment. We talk about championship defining moments. I would hate to think that we're at the start of round 3 and we've found our first championship defining moment, but I think we have, because even though Rainer could play it safe in the first race and be the beneficiary of the reverse grid portion of the evening, you can't afford to be complacent in a championship like this where every point is so vital, every point counts. There's no drop rounds, there's no excuses, there's no second chances. And that's another point that I want to talk about with regards to the guys that are going to start at the front for Heat 1 but at the back for Heat 2 a little bit later on. I apologise, I haven't run through that championship list to the point that I normally do, but you can see it on your screen there, folks, and fill in the gaps for yourself. But it's clear that it's between those 4 at the top end of town. In fact, you can't rule out any of the top 5 really at this point. They've been so evenly matched throughout the first couple of rounds of the season. And once again, it's ringing true to form in qualifying here, because Aaron Dodd's in there, currently 5th fastest. Dylan Pereira, he's had no luck whatsoever. There he is, 40th. And Stone Motherless last at the moment, has not been able to buy luck so far in this championship. And he has had 2 great runs in qualifying, but it hasn't converted for him. He'll be hoping to bounce back tonight and prove the point thrower cat amongst the pigeons. He's currently sitting 4th fastest. So Dylan Rudd, Rainer Costello, Rehan Leonage, Dylan Pereira, Aaron Dodd, Jamie Dyke, the top 6 on the point standings at the moment on the totem pole as far as qualifying is concerned here. Brian Borg is 7th. There's a talking point for you. Cameron Jones, Sean McNamara was the next guy I was going to talk about. He's had a great start to this season. I don't want to put the mocker on him, though, JP, because we know how quickly it can go south, and he couldn't buy luck in the first 2 outings of the last season. But he sure as hell finished strong, and he always seems to warm up as the year goes on. He's in fine form, and he's going to be someone that, okay, he might not win the championship, but he's going to be in contention on December 12, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, 100%. And you've nailed the head right on the you've nailed it right on the head there, because normally Sean sort of starts off a little bit quiet and then warms up towards the end of the season. This season, he's come out absolutely swinging. So I think keep an eye out on him. I think he's just going to move up the ladder.
All right, at this point in time, as we usually do, let's crank up the volume. Let's go for a lap of the Hungaroring, shall we? And show you around the newest venue on the iRacing platform. The first time. Oh, no. I've just got a message before we do that, JP, from Rainer Costello. It's going to be a full send from him, because he's viewing this as 2 reverse grid races tonight. So that's going to be his plan of attack now that he's had to get the tow in qualifying. So unfortunately, what was second fastest is now going to be a pit lane start, rear of grid start for Rainer Costello. Let's crank up the volume. Let's go for a lap of this 4.38 kilometre circuit. Then we'll have a look at the race info for you. It's the newest circuit on the iRacing platform, and the second sector of the circuit is one-way traffic. There's very few limited overtaking opportunities around here tonight, which is why the reverse grid race is going to be well worth your attention. Have a look at this.
Yeah, all right. So it's all about getting that that exit onto the main straight. Down through the gears here. Make sure not to bounce the car on the rev limiter. Hard on the brake. Now we start braking. Trail the brake all the way into the corner here. Turn in early. Get on the power nice and early. Up into 3rd gear. 4th gear. Run into this corner here. Down into 3rd. Now I like to stay in 3rd here. Some guys go to 2nd gear. Trail the brake all the way in. Hard on the accelerator to the middle of the track. Now, a little lift, 4th gear there, just you see the car sliding just as it's exiting. 5th gear, up through here, take as much track as I possibly can, down into 4th gear, trail the brake, early on the throttle through here, now on the brake again, 3rd gear, into 2nd gear, early shift into 3rd gear coming out here, hard on the throttle. Now I line up this corner, go into the corner deep, turn in 2nd gear, now I can straighten this out early on the power coming through here. 3rd gear, this is pretty much 3rd gear all the way through here, using the brakes and the throttle to balance the car going through this section here. Now I'm flat through here. Little lift, 4th gear, brake, 3rd gear, on the throttle again into 4th gear. Now I'm hard all the way down into the braking zone here. Then I shift down into 2nd gear, turn in early, trail the brake, try to clip this apex, straighten this corner out, hard on the throttle, coming into this section here. Now I brake a little late, open the face of the corner up here to get a better exit out of this turn, onto the last turn here. Now this one I've got to be particularly careful of, get nice and close to the corner, short shift the gears, early on the throttle, coming out here, and that is a hot lap of the Hungaroring. So yeah, back to you, Zach.
Thank you, JP. Very nicely done, my friend. And we are getting set for what will be an awesome night of racing here. And on that note, let's have a look with only 3 minutes left in the qualifying session at the track race information for this evening. The Hungaroring SuperSprint, the Goodyear Autocare Warana SuperSeries Super Series, 4.38 kilometres is the length of this circuit. We've got a special guest standing by in central commentary as well. We'll get to them in just a moment. I want you to disregard 14 laps for race one because it's going to fall time certain at 22 minutes, and we believe that'll make it a 13-lap race there. 21 laps for race two, 153.3 kilometres there for the race distance of the evening. But again, that will be affected by potential time certain in race one. And of course, we're not sure how we're going to go time certainty for race two because at the end of the day, reverse grid, you normally see the safety car, so bear that in mind. 50 kilometres an hour along pit lane is the speed limit tonight. Of course, with the fact that it is sprint racing, there is no restriction on fuel. It's a full tank for both races. 0 pit stops unless you need to come in and fix up some damage, and we know there are no fast repairs in this series. Tyre limit is unlimited tonight, of course. Race one will start 10:35 a.m. track time, which almost syncs up perfectly with Australian Eastern Daylight Time. In fact, I think it's 1 hour out, given that they were 8 hours behind us 2 weeks ago, so they're 9 hours behind this week. So it just doesn't work out in that regard. And race two is ahead of time at 16:30 server time. Air temp 24 degrees, track temp 27, 18 kilometre an hour wind speeds in the southerly direction for you tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, be mindful of all of that. The big news for those of you that are just joining us, we mentioned it. JP interrupted our run through the points table there to inform you that Rainer Costello will start from the pit lane, having had to get a tow in qualifying. Binned in qualifying. And as I welcome Matt Davis into the central commentary for the first time in the RSRA Super Series on a Tuesday night this season for Goodyear Autocare Warana, mate, it's great to have you on board. This circuit is going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons with regards to, well, several different factors, really. It could easily catch you out. Track limits is going to be something we need to focus on as well because incident count penalties from the iRacing perspective kick in at 16x and every 9x thereafter. Being the newest circuit on the server, preparation for this round is going to be paramount to your success tonight, and we know that it is notoriously a difficult track for overtaking. So the guys are going to have to show, particularly in the second race, the hard charges coming through from the back after finishing at the front in race one. They're going to have to show a little bit of patience tonight.
Good evening, Zach. Good evening, everybody on all the platforms of the SimShed Broadcasting and RSRA. It is extremely good to be on the on Tuesday Night Motorsport. Thought I'd make a jump over and save JP's voice box for him and give him a bit of a rest for the third week running, as the Spirit of Tasmania is yet again vacant. But hope he's doing well wherever he is at.
Absolutely.
Hungaroring, new circuit for the iRacing server, and personally, I actually haven't turned a lap. I was meant to get some laps on there today, but haven't turned one. Very similar to Suzuka from what I've heard. Hard to overtake, and obviously being super sprint round and the first one for the season, the boys are really going to have a tough time trying to get through from the back of the grid in race two.
Now, good news is cars are already going to line up on the grid here. We're going racing straight away, folks. No 5-minute warm-up here. That will be between the two races tonight so that we can have a chat to the top three. So therefore, the grid looks like this. Dylan Rudd and Rehan Leonage on the front row. Disregard Rainer Costello. Dylan Pereira will have the second row all to himself. Aaron Dodd, Jamie Dyke, row 3. Brian Borg, Cameron Jones from 4. Sean McNamara and Ben Morris from 5. Joe Bailey and Michael Angus from 6. Stephen Bull and Brenton Nitschke from 7. Tommy Heyman and David Coleman from 8. Matthew Scholes and Blake Delaney from 9. Robert Crisdale and Brian Good from 10. Then we go back to Bruce Tunnock and David Kirby from 11. Robert Bradbury and also Hayden Norris from 12. 13, Craig Schultz and Sam Noble. 14, Justin Pennyfather and David Nash. 15, Simon Velladina Lessie. 16, Simon Chadwick and Peter Crossingham. 17, Jamie Davis and Rick Sibra. 18, Lindsay Hobbs and Chris Barnes. Huge field tonight. 19, Dean Powell and Scott Barchin. And, of course, Lee Davis is the safety car driver. As per usual, he will not start on the grid. So 37 cars on the grid, 2 in pit lane. 1 is Rainer Costello. Essentially, it's going to be a full send from him tonight because it's 2 reverse grid races for the price of 1 for him. It's 1 for everybody else. It's a new venture in the RSRA Super Series, the Goodyear Autocare Warana, because we've never gone racing. We've never turned wheels in anger on this circuit. Just like when we went to Chicago earlier in the season, just like when we went to Hockenheim as well. And it's always interesting to see who prevails, who's done their homework, who's had the best opportunity to get to a comfortable place with these circuits. And looking forward to seeing how this one unfolds tonight. 2 races for the price of 1. Race 1 is just seconds away from starting. They're off. They're racing. Great getaway on the front row. Look at Dylan Rudd. Like a missile down towards the first corner. And he will clear Rehan Leonage and Dylan Pereira and lead them comfortably into trouble. Massive contact on the main straight behind this onboard shot. We've got 4 or 5 cars in the wall on the run to turn 1. And that will no doubt trigger a safety car. As much as I hate to say it, they have spewed everywhere across the racetrack as Dylan Rudd leads the field to turn 3.
Cam Jones involved in that one. He had a good qualifying as well. Started in 8th and he's dropped all the way down. And safety car boards and flags, Zach.
And that will now certainly ensure that we do go time certain, as much as it pains me to say it, ladies and gentlemen. Here it is from the replay shot for you, ladies and gentlemen. And all the trouble started in the mid-pack. He didn't even get to the first corner. I thought that the first corner would be the problem. But have a look at that.
They
just went everywhere. Oh, wow.
And even iRacing couldn't keep up with that. Rainer Costello, big jump from that one. He's already in 24th position.
He's the big beneficiary of all that. Who said overtaking was difficult on this circuit? Rainer's just made it look easy.
Biggest loser out of that one is quite a few people. It's Robert Crisdale, Craig Schultz, Brian Good, Robbie Bradbury, Matty Scholes, Cameron Jones, David Kirby, Bruce Tannick, Sam Noble, Brenton Nitschke, Ben Morris, Michael Angus, and Peter Crossingham.
Well, Ben Morris and Michael Angus had to cop a toe. Unfortunately, Peter Crossingham looks like he's just retired, plain and simple. And that means that we won't see him on the grid for the next race either. Yeah, that is quite extraordinary. Sam Noble's now in pit lane as well. And Bruce Tunnock is parked off the circuit too, having completed only half a lap. So, unfortunately now, see, this is the problem. We've got only a 22-minute window for this race. And this is all brought about because originally iRacing were planning maintenance tonight and we were on a pressure cooker time-wise. Unfortunately, they've then now pushed that back to tomorrow night. And, anyway, doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is that these guys are now simply racing the clock. They are not thinking of 14 as their target, Matt Davis. Clean start for Dylan Rudd. Great start for Aaron Dodd, up 3 positions early. Dylan Pereira tucked into 4th. And it'd actually just be nice for him to see a checkered flag, I think. he's had a shocking start of the season. That was Bruce Tunnock sitting there in the middle of the circuit too, I think you'll find. There is about half the field in pit lane at the moment. Only 20
Brenton Nitschke, actually, on the
cars
circuit
have come. Brenton Nitschke, yeah, good point. Good pick up from you, Matt Davis. Bruce Tunnock was a little bit further around the circuit.
Bruce Tunnock from Right Sim Racing is already in the pit lane, so he's I think what I can see at the moment, Zach, just sorry to cut you off there. Sam Noble already in the pits for a minute. Simon Chadwick in the pits already for 30 seconds. Bruce Tunnock in for now a minute. Michael Angus already in, along with Ben Morris for 2 minutes apiece. Chris Barnes in for a minute. Rick Sibra's already been in for a minute. Craig Schultz is in for almost 40 seconds now. Hayden Norris in for a minute. So from what I can see, Matty Scholes from position 23 right through to position 38 is how many drivers are out. So that's 15 cars that were caught up in that mess.
Quite extraordinary, isn't it, to see that many cars in pit lane this early in a race? And if they don't hurry up and get their cars sorted, David Kirby, Robert Crisdale and Craig Schultz are on their way out. They're heading back out onto the racetrack. The outlight is lit up on my screen here. Lights are still on the safety car, so well, that's exactly right. Lights are still on the safety car, so if it's not coming in this time by, I wouldn't imagine. But there are going to be a few cars that are going to drop a lap right here.
Well, no,
actually, the safety car is coming in. The safety car is coming in. Well, that is interesting because the lights didn't go out on the safety car, so he's thrown us a dummy and made us sound like idiots, but that's another story. Lap 2 of 14, disregard that. It's lap 2 of whatever we can get in now that we've had that safety car. Back to racing here at the Hungaroring. Let me come back to a couple of talking points as we go on here. Matt Davis, Dylan Rudd, Rehan Leonard, Aaron Dodd, 1, 2, and 3. Dylan Pereira, Brian Borg, and Jamie Dyke, the next one's through. And we've got a car pulled up on the exit of pit lane, for goodness sake. Well, the carnage just continues here at the Hungaroring.
Oh, I think he was waiting.
Inside. Cameron Jones is 21st, but has the fastest lap of the race. Can you believe that? Because he's chased the field around on the safety car. And the rest of the field is making their way through. That was a much better restart. It helps when they go single file.
Definitely does help when they go single file. There was a car pulled off there on the exit of pit lane. I think he was just waiting for the entire field to go by. And I believe it was either Robbie Bradbury or Brian Good, just allowing the field to go by, complete their restart. Rainer Costello, though, around the outside of Scotty Barton, makes it look as if there's a car in the wall.
Massive hit.
That is Matty Scholes. Matty Scholes is in the wall, smoke everywhere, and that will be his night done.
It's David Nash, actually,
David Nash,
yeah. Unfortunately, I think, although it appears as though he's got the thing back running, but my goodness gracious me, that was a big hit. Massive hit. There's Dylan Pereira. So, oh, wow.
Oh,
take a breath and hold on, folks.
Leonard gets the move on Dodd, Zach.
That was bold. And that was brave, but we've come to expect that from this bloke. So he's been pretty good at making overtaking manoeuvres this season and running good strategy, and his racecraft has improved tenfold. This guy is one to watch. Big sideways moment from Dodd coming onto the main straight as well.
Hang on. Looks like Leonos may have compromised his race start there, which allowed Dodd to overtake him, but he managed to get that spot back again.
Now under pressure here on the outside. That's Brian Borg coming through. Trying to muscle his way through on Dylan Pereira. I tell you what, that was a tank slabber and a half from Pereira. Did he get assistance? I'm not sure. Now
all over the back.
Borg down the inside, couldn't get it done. Will Jesberg Sim Racing just commenting, so much understeer on these F1 tracks in the supercars, so that could be a factor for these guys tonight. Have a look at this. Pereira down the inside, Borg up the outside. We're going to continue watching this. Yes, there was a little bit of a
push and shove.
Oh, they've got the elbows out tonight, Matt Davis. But see, this is one of those rounds, it's so critical. Rainer Costello was cheering because he's already up to 15th from the back of the field. He's the big beneficiary of all that. that garbage that unfolded on the main straight. That was Carnage Plus. Now Borg makes the move on the inside of Pereira and job done there. We go back to Rainer Costello coming through. He's got a log gem of cars ahead of him. Tommy Heyman, Simon Vella, Justin Pennyfather. Can't quite get through on Heyman. Oh, no, I tell you what. They didn't have much room left there. That was a coat of varnish and barely that separating them as they come onto the main straight. So Costello's throwing everything at it here. 15th. This could be it. We talk all the time about championship defining moments. Him coming back through and making the best of a bad situation could be one of those championship defining moments. On board here with Dylan Pereira getting muscled out by Brian Borg, and back we go to Costello on the inside of Heyman. But Heyman will want to hang tough there because that'll put him on the inside for turn 3. There's 2. Nope, Costello's going to cover him off, I think. So Costello moves through and consolidates the position, and Heyman's left to slip back to 15th. Dean Powen behind them, Lindsay Hobbs as well. The timing screen lit up orange everywhere at the moment because the cars are just following in freight trains at this point in time. Lap 5, we're not going to get to 14. Time certainly won't allow us to. It could be 12. We might be lucky to scrape 13, but I think it's going to be 12 now that we've had that safety car.
Lap in minute 45 at the front of the field for Dylan Rudd at the moment. He's holding the fastest lap of the race at the moment too, with a 1:45.59. The rest of the field roughly in about the 1:46 to 1:47. So they are getting a bit of a wiggle on with the race. They're holding some pretty substantial pace at the moment, Zach.
Dylan Rudd's just walking away with this, isn't he? 2.5 seconds already. And an inch is as good as a mile, but that guy does not need the inch in the first place. He if anything, he needs success ballast because that would bring him back to the pack. He hasn't had it all his own way in the first 2 weeks. He worked hard last week for the success there. And now there's Caside on the inside. Job done on Justin Pennyfather. Simon Vella's the next target. At this point in time, Pennyfather wanted to force the issue, then conceded. He yielded. And rightly so, because you weren't going too wide through there. Onto the main straight. Let's go on board with Rainer Costello. Let's crank up the volume and watch this young man hard at work. Already, he's come from the rear of the field, 38th, and he sits in 14th. 13th now, 25 positions gained. Let's go on board. How good was that? Rainer Costello in full send mode. I don't think there's anything better on a Tuesday night in the Goodyear Autocare Warana SuperSeries. This guy is throwing everything at it. He's had 2 serious cracks at trying to get by on the inside. Oh, hang on. We've got some massive smoke down here at turn 1. We've got a couple of cars that have ended up off circuit at turn 1, but we're okay. They're back on the circuit, but they've dropped down the order. Brian Borg's back to 8. Jamie Dyke and Dylan Pereira are also involved. And that means that Aaron Dodd is in 3rd, Jared Bailey, Stephen Bull, and Sean McNamara have all bumped their way up, and Blake Delaney is 7th. We're going to go into a replay here in just a moment and show you what's happened there at turn 1. But unfortunately for Brian Borg, he's about to be a sitting duck here. Oh no, Rainer Costello trying to get down on the inside of Dylan Pereira. So all of a sudden, Rainer Costello's in the top 10. You can believe that.
That's full send mode if you don't mind asking.
Oh, this is just super stuff. This is magnificent from Rainer Costello, kicking himself half an hour ago when he put it in the wall in qualifying and had to get a tow. Now in the top 10, and as JP said to us off there whilst we cranked up the volume, a real chance if he can keep his nose clean of potentially being the round winner tonight. And we're going to talk about the tactics and how everyone plays it from a cautious perspective, a damage control perspective, after what we saw in the opening lap of race 1, I might add, in the race coming up a little bit later on. Rainer Costello has already had the overtaking experience, so he's going to be well positioned to know how to play it. It's just a matter of how everybody else wants to play it in that second race, which is coming up very shortly. Round they come onto the main straight. It is 7 laps gone. We're not going to get to 14. We know that. 13:37 on the clock. So by my count, that's going to be 5 to go. 4 will get us to about 20 and a half. And then that 5th one will get us over the middle. So 12 is the number you're looking for tonight, ladies and gentlemen, on time. Certainly down the inside. Dylan Pereira, just a sitting duck, unfortunately, after that incident between himself and Brian Borg, and also Jamie Dyke. And Rainer Costello goes past him like a cool breeze. He makes it look easy. Over to 9th position now, Rainer Costello. Next target is Jamie Dyke. He's 2 seconds or 1.5 seconds down the road. Then Stephen Bull. This is what happened. Brian Borg and Dylan Pereira. Oh, no. Dylan Pereira just got carved up. Brian Borg, you could see what he was trying to do. There were 4 cars involved in the incident. You could see Brian Borg was trying to sell him the dummy there, Matt Davis. He was on the outside. He wanted to fling back to the inside to try and just send it, Daniel Ricciardo style, and come from nowhere, and it's ended terribly.
Unfortunately, these pursuit cars don't pull up like Daniel Ricciardo's F1 car. It just
No.
goes to show that you can't do the old big flick like you can in the F1 car, because the aerodynamics on these things are as much of a tank, or a if you want to put it that way. And if he had pulled it off, spectacular move. Would have been move of the night, but unfortunately just got tangled up with Dylan Pereira then. And how about Pereira though, bouncing off the tyre barrier like a bowling ball and just straight back onto the track at full pace. It was like nothing even worried him there. But no, suffering big aerodynamics now, damage to Dylan Pereira's car, and the biggest loser out of that one's Brian Borg.
Look at this. Aaron Dodd and Rehan Leonage fighting over the same piece of real estate. This is the battle for second in the car race. Jared Bailey, fourth. Sean McNamara, fifth. Just have a look at some of the positional gains. I know you can't see our totem pole at the moment, folks, but have a look at some of the positional gains here. Now you can. 12 for Blake Delaney. 17 for Vella, 24 for Dean Powell, 13 for Justin Pennefather, 19 for Lindsay Hobbs, 16 for Jamie Davis, 10 for David Nash, 19 for Scott Barchin. And of course, we mentioned earlier that Rainer Costello has come through the field. It's not a fair reflection. He originally qualified third, but he started 38th. Stone Motherless last from pit lane, so you've got to take that into consideration as well. He's gained 29 positions. Down the order, down the back end of town, look at the plethora of names still in pit lane. David Kirby, Lee Davis is the safety car driver. That's where he belongs at the moment. Ben Morris, Michael Angus, Bruce Tunnock, Sam Noble, Simon Chadwick. But if the safety car was going to be classified, it'd be 32nd at the moment. Aaron Dodd, all over the back of Rehan Leonage. Millimetres in this. You're right on board with him. You're getting a real good look at the rear end of Rehan Leonage's entry here at the moment. And you'll get an equally good look at the front end of Aaron Dodd's in just a moment. But in the pit lane, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars that we are very mindful of will probably not finish this race. Therefore, because of the rules of the series, I'm pretty sure they won't be starting on the grid in the next race. They'll be starting from pit lane as well. So therefore, the job's only going to get easier for the likes of Rainer Costello to weave their way through in race 2. So much drama, all caused by that first lap kerfuffle. That was across the insert word here. Now look at this. Borg again. And Pereira. Pereira, does he want to get square? No, he lets Borg go.
Oh, he's battling back.
Oh, look at that.
That's straight. It's a draw.
Nice. And that was payback for earlier. Don't worry about that.
And he cops a drive-through.
Brian Borg's got a drive-through and a damaged car. 2 for the price of 1. Thanks for coming. Oh, wow.
Copped some steering damage on that one. He hit the coaming rail.
And to be fair, I don't want to go into bat for Dylan Pereira here, but when you've had two shockers the way he has, you can understand his frustration in that situation, getting cleaned up the way that he did. Let's have a look at it again. This is how it started. Oh, wow. It actually started before turn 14. Borg was up the inside and pushing him out of the road at 13. Pereira said, I'm having none of that. Went down the inside into 14. And then Matt Davis, well, the rest was on our screens.
It was, and it just, as you see here, Pereira and Borg just come together at the rear end. Pereira gets a little bit out of shape, and then Borg's just come over on Pereira and then gets sent off into the combing barrier.
I'd love to see the onboard from Brian Borg, if I'm honest with you. I'd love to see the onboard from Brian Borg. We might do that shortly. In the meantime, have a look at this. This battle continues. All of a sudden, Brian Borg is buried in 16th position, so all of a sudden he's now looking good for the reverse grid race. There is so much drama to try and unpick and unravel in all of this.
Sorry, Zach. He will start from the pits as well because he's gotten himself a drive-through.
Oh, copy that. Yeah, wow. Okay. Unlucky for Brian Borg. It just gets worse, doesn't it? Where do you start trying to unravel tonight? This is just extraordinary. We mentioned at the start how critical a night this would be for obvious reasons, being the new circuit, being notoriously difficult for overtaking, being a championship where every point counts and there are no second chances, no excuses. And there are so many championship-defining moments, one for Brian Borg, one for Reina Costello, and we aren't even out of race one yet. And based on how race one started, I don't know a tremendous amount of confidence for race two, I might add. But in the meantime, Rehan Lee is under tremendous pressure from Aaron Dodd right here and now. This is the penultimate lap, folks. We will go time certain next time, not this time by, next time by. Dylan Rudd leads Rehan Leonage, Aaron Dodd, Jared Bailey, Sean McNamara and Blake Delaney. Keep an eye out for Barney to wave the white flag. This time by the line, if my numbers are correct. 18:59 last time by the line for Dylan Rudd, who is coming through the second sector right now. He will get back to the line somewhere after the clock goes to 20 and a half minutes or somewhere around there, 20 and 3/4. So therefore, that would be, on my numbers at least, white flag territory on the time certain factor. And we will then have a 10-minute warm-up and then get stuck into a 21 lap or 37-minute race, I think it is. So looking forward to that. But in the meantime, take nothing away from this guy, Matt Davis. We haven't seen much of him tonight. He's been the form man of the last 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks of racing in the two series, the RSRA Super Series Season 2 and the GAC Super Series Season 3. And he has really hit his straps tonight despite obvious pressure from the likes of Brian Borg and Rehan Leonage in the opening 2 weeks. And now he's got a 4-second lead and it's smooth sailing. He doesn't need to worry about this lap traffic in front of him, but getting past it, well, that'd put his mind at ease, no doubt, given the carnage we've seen unfold tonight.
Yeah, definitely is going to be putting his mind at ease going into the second race. Costello at the moment, just before I do make the mention on Rudd, up behind Jamie Dyke now and really starting to put the pressure on in the closing laps at the moment. 35 seconds to go on the timing board. So next time round, or this time round might be last lap. If not, next time round will be last lap. But no, Dylan Rudd definitely will be putting his mind at ease. It helped him a little bit though. Leonage and Dodd battling for the God knows how many laps now. I believe it's almost come up to 7, 8 laps now. I believe that Leonage and Dodd have been battling for. So that's really allowed Rudd to skip away. And we know that battling out on track, especially in a place that's tough to overtake, really hurts the drivers trying to chase down the guy in front of them. So if they could have worked together, it could have been in beneficiary, but obviously Dodd and Rudd are teammates, so it could have been a little bit of a strategic battle as Costello come together and get away with it. How about that, ladies and gentlemen?
Reina Costello, this is awesome stuff all over the back of Jamie Dyke. Dylan Rudd into the last corner. Second race win of the season for him to go with the triumph last week in Japan. Dylan Rudd back in victory lane, but now he'll start down the back end of town. He's going to get a leg up with the amount of cars starting from pit lane. It's going to look very strange, the grid, in about 15 minutes' time. In the meantime, Rian Leonard second, Aaron Dodd third, Jared Bailey, Sean McNamara, Blake Delaney, Raina Costello. 7 might just be a lucky number for him. What a superb stroke of luck. Originally meant to start third, started at the rear, started in pit lane, missed all the garbage on the run to turn 1, comes home in 7th. Are you kidding me? That could be a championship-defining moment right there. Jamie Dyke 8th, Stephen Bull and Simon Vella make up the top 10. Dylan Pereira 11th, despite all the, uncertainty and all the misfortune of all of that. Stephen Bull just ahead of him and Simon Vella too, I might add. Dean Power was behind, then Justin Pennefather, Lindsay Hobbs, Jamie Davis, David Nash and Cameron Jones. Scott Barchin, Tommy Heyman and David Coleman made it back to 20th position. However, Matt Davis, even though the likes of Dean Alessi, Craig Schultz are going to come home, so too Robert Crisdale and Matthew Scholes, and they're going to do so. Crisdale and Scholes a lap down, Alessi and Schultz on the lead lap. 22 are going to get home on the lead lap, which is astonishing given how it started. The problems are going to start further down the order. You got Chris Barnes and Rick Sibber have taken the checkered flag. However, they have not completed 75% of the 12 laps. So, therefore, they will probably not be classified. But because they finished the race, at least, I'm not sure what that means in terms of whether they'll start from pit lane or whether they'll start on the grid. So, JP can clarify that they will start on the grid. But, JP, I'll let you come in here, and we're going to hear from Raina Costello in just a moment as well. The fact of the matter is that if they don't complete that 75% race distance, they'll get a non-classified next to their name, won't they?
That's correct. Look, if they don't complete 75% of the race, they will get a DNF, non-classified beside their name, but they have been on track and they race, so they will be allowed to grid up for the next race. If you get a penalty or if you don't finish the race, you crash out of the race, you're not going to get a leg up and get an advantage in the next race. You will start from the pits.
And there's a long list of drivers. We'll have a look at the race results in just a moment. There's a long list of drivers that are going to be starting from pit lane. In fact, it's almost as long as the list of drivers that ended up in pit lane at the end of, 200 metres of racing. Where do you start in unraveling all of that? We've only got 10 minutes to do it, so let's do it quickly. Let's firstly bring in Raina Costello. What a tremendous stroke of luck for you. I don't know who UIB is to tonight, but clearly someone was on your side, mate, because after kicking yourself with a tow rope job in qualifying pit lane start, you managed to miss the pile-up of the year in the RSRA SuperSeries across any guys. Be it first season, second season, or the GAC one that we're currently in. You get through to 20th on the opening lap, and then in a demon-like drive, you come home in 7th, but now you got to do it all again.
Yeah, well, it was pretty fun trying to come through the pack. I didn't really have any expectations going into it, so I just fully sent it, and pretty much all the moves worked out. Just pretty much threw caution to the wind.
Well, that's exactly an understatement, right. I think, Zach Caban.
I think so. Matt, anything you want to ask him while he's here?
Oh, mate, I'm actually left speechless with that drive. I mean, to see you come from when you first started in the RSRA back then when it was the nationwide, to now the racecraft that you show now, especially coming through the field that hard, mate. All I can say is if you do the same at in race 2, I think the Hard Charger Awards, Zach's definitely going to be going to Raina Costello tonight.
Oh, bloody oath. Now, Raina, in all of that, just quickly, because I've got to move around the room here, you must be pinching yourself that everything fell into place that way. Are you hoping for a similar sort of run of luck in race 2, or do you now, that you've limited the damage control here, do you now play it a little bit more cautiously, knowing how difficult overtaking can be?
Well, I'll probably still have the same mindset, but we'll have to wait and see how it pans out, because obviously I got lucky with the incident at the start where everyone
That's an understatement.
I just watched it all unfold and drove out of the pits and managed to just weave around everyone. So hopefully we can have some good luck in this one to try and come through the pack. I was thinking about maybe sacrificing the first race to start up the front in the second, but I threw that strategy away pretty quickly.
Helped by the pile up at the circus in front of you. Well done, mate. Get out of here. We'll chat to you at the end of race 2.
Thanks, guys. I hope I'm back.
Yeah, quite possibly will be, if not for the race, at least maybe for round points. Hey, Dylan Rudd, well done. That was your easiest win of the season. Practice makes perfect, as they say. You haven't had it all your own way in the first 2 weeks, but tonight you looked like you've hit your straps and you looked comfortable.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, got a clean start and seemed to look like Rehan and Dodd were battling after the safety car restart, which got me a decent gap where I just managed that for the rest of the race.
Now that okay, so let's weigh this up. You're probably quite happy that there's going to be a plethora of cars starting from pit lane, and we'll have a full list of that, no doubt, very shortly, because that makes the job of getting through the field a little bit easier. But how do you attack this, knowing that this circuit is not difficult to overtake on, knowing that you've got the full haul of points from race 1, knowing that damage control is usually a strategy to adopt in a reverse grid race, and that every point is critical and a DNF is an absolute killer?
Yeah, strategy would just be to finish the race, I think. Just make it past the first lap, seeing what happened on that race. So being cautious through just the first couple of corners, and then, yeah, just finishing the race.
Thoughts quickly from you two on the circuit, mate, because obviously it's the newest one on the iRacing platform. I've only got 5 minutes here before we grid up and go again. So last one for you. But Will Jesberg was commenting that this is one of those circuits that there's, because it's an F1 circuit and these are supercars, there's a lot of understeer. Did you find that?
Yeah, obviously he's got to drive to the car's grip limit, but yeah, not a fan of the track.
Okay, copy that. Second win of the season, mate. Go and try and get a third. Well done.
Thanks, guys.
Rehan Leonard, you continue your podium run. A nice performance from you, mate, in that race, but not an easy run to the checkered flag because you had Aaron Dodd breathing down your neck. Talk us through the 12 laps from your perspective, please.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of pressure, especially because I was trying to keep that clean race as well. So yeah, that made it a lot harder. But yeah, other than that, just needed to keep a cool head, and yeah, and pressure was on the whole entire way. But yeah, just gotta make it to the end. Yeah.
Indeed you do. What's the plan of attack here, buddy? Because at the end of the day, you are the championship leader. Obviously, as far as qualifying was concerned, Dylan gets the 1 point there, so the gap narrows to 6 points. But it was a shocking race for Brian Borg, so that threat dies down a little bit. Rayner's obviously slipped back to 7th in all of that as far as race 1 is concerned. So you are still the points leader. What's the plan of attack to maintain that?
Yeah, it's just mostly go for the moves that I can make and just stay out of the ones that are going to be a bit hard. But other than that, it's just finish the race because no points in a round is near impossible to come back with this kind of competition.
Indeed it is. Hey, go and get amongst it, mate. Let's check in and have a chat with you at the end of the second race, please.
Yep.
All the best, Rehan. Go and get it, mate. Thank you. 10 cars retired from that race, ladies and gentlemen. Add Brian Borg to the list. That makes 11 starting from pit lane. And I've just had a message come through of who was the main culprit to the incident, and we'll find out more on that from Matt Davis in just a moment. Let me quickly get to Aaron Dodd, mate. Apologies for it taking so long to get to you. However, first podium of the season, and things are looking up, mate. Unlike last season where you had your struggles in the early stages, everything's falling into place slowly but surely here.
Yeah, hey guys, that's it. A little bit better start than last season. Still got the penalty on the first race, which put me a bit behind, but not so bad. I'm still in it. And yeah, tonight's race was pretty good, putting the pressure on to little Rehan there. he done good. I hit him about 10 times in the back, and I was trying to pass him cleanly, but this track's just so hard to pass. So the
Yeah.
next race is going to be pretty challenging.
At least he's honest about it. There'll be other drivers that'd say what you didn't see, I won't tell. But Aaron's come out and opened up about that one. Hey, mate, also well done too, because he's not an easy cookie to overtake. You pushed him every step of the way. What's the plan of attack for race 2 for you? And we'll no doubt have a chat with you a little bit later on in more detail.
No plan of attack. We'll just see what happens. Just try and keep the car clean. Don't want to give Macca a bill for the car. So we'll just see what happens. It's going to be tough, and we'll see what happens after the race.
All right, mates. Thoughts on the circuit very quickly before we let you go?
Just like Dill said, any F1 track, I'm not really a fan of, especially in this car. But it makes you learn how to drive the car. You just got to give the car what it needs. And yeah, it's not one of my favorite ones. We'll get back to a street circuit, but yeah, just tricky. But oh well, at least we got another track in the game.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right, mate. Go and get amongst it in race 2. Good luck.
Cheers, Blakes. Catch you.
All right, Matt Davis, very quickly, you've got some news from race control.
Yeah, big news from race control. So the big instigator of that massive start incident in race 1 was Benny Morris. Didn't get too much further detail, but obviously moving going around in the pack, and unfortunately we got one car, and we all know what happens to dominoes when one falls and the rest of them fall over. So lucky enough, the rest of the field was able to get through fairly unscathed, but a lot of wounded vehicles in that first race sack.
10 cars that did not finish that race. Add Brian Borg for the drive-through penalty as well. He will start from pit lane. So there's going to be 11 starting from pit lane. In what order, I'm not entirely sure. But we're looking forward to what might unfold in race 2 here, which is only seconds from getting underway. Cars will be lining up on the grid. Let's have a look at how they're going to line up here in race 2. Can you believe it? Lee Davis got classified as 37th, so he's technically gridding up third according to iRacing. Fair dinkum. Peter Crossingham and Brendan Nitschke, then Brice Tunnock, Sam Noble, Michael Angus, Simon Chadwick, Ben Morris. Now, a lot of these guys are actually going to start from pit lane, David Kirby, Rick Sibra, because they didn't make it to the finish. Chris Barnes and Brian Borg are 11 and 12. They will be on the grid because they did make it to the finish from what we saw. Over the page we go. Hayden Norris and Brian Good, then Robbie Bradbury and Matthew Scholes, Robert Crisdale, Craig Schultz, Dan Alessi, David Coleman, Tommy Heyman and Scott Barchin, then Cameron Jones and David Nash. Did someone say KFC? Cameron Jones was commenting there a short while ago. Jamie Davis, Lindsay Hobbs, Justin Pennefather, Dean Powell, Dylan Pereira, Simon Vella and the rest. Let's go. Race 2 underway. From way back, they get away. I take a great degree of comfort in the fact that we don't have as many cars starting on the grid in the hope that that will mean a cleaner run to turn 1. Let's wait and see if they're right. This time by a lot cleaner. David Kirby's going to lead him to the first corner. Trouble at the back. 3 wide, 4 wide, but they somehow managed to keep it clean. And here come the swarm of cars out of pit lane as well. Kirby the leader in the early stages from Chris Barnes. Craig Schultz, Matthew Scholes, Hayden Norris, Robbie Bradbury, Robert Crisdale and Cameron Jones making up the top 8 at this point in time. And thankfully, a safe, clean getaway in this second race here, Matt Davis.
Yes, definitely a safe, clean getaway, and already some big movers. We know there was 10 positions gained by everybody straight off the start line. But Rainer Costello already in 17th position. What an absolute liar start. And what I'm just hearing as well, Zach, is Kirby may get a drive-through penalty because he DNF'd the last race. So we're just going to have to see what race control do about this. So if that does happen, effectively your race leader would be Chris Barnes. But it's all up to race control's discretion at the moment.
Real strong positive chance that we will get a new race winner out of this one way or another in the next 21 laps here. But there will be no pit stops tonight, ladies and gentlemen. You'll burn 3.6 a lap. They can easily get to 21 on that as they make their way around one more time. So already some moving and shaking throughout the field. We'll keep our eyes on and peeled on the guys that started at the back of the field. and see how they make their way through. And by back of the field, I mean, well, two things, Matt Davis, the guys that started from pit lane after failing to finish the first race, and the guys that finished at the front end of town that got relegated to the back on the reverse grid format.
It's going to be a stellar drive-through for these guys at the back. Fishy boys on screen, just take on. I was about to say all the fishy boys, but no, it's a racecraft. There's a car. I can't believe that is good. He's around.
Good indeed.
And dropping down the pack. That has come around him like a swarm of flies, Zach.
Yeah, it was Brian Good, and it wasn't so good, if you'll pardon the pun. Lap 21 here. They make their way through as they head up. Oh, geez, a little bit of a bobble and a tailing moment there. We go on board up towards the end of the first sector. So we'll get an indication very shortly of just how difficult it's going to be for these guys to manoeuvre their way through the field. You're already seeing how difficult overtaking is. Now, the way I look at it, Matt Davis, turns 1, 2, 3, and 4, fair game. Everywhere else up until about turn 12, 13, and 14 is one-way traffic. But 12, 13, 14 are your next three best opportunities. If you can make a move stick in the mid-sector of the circuit, you're a brave man.
Oh, very brave man you'd have to be. We saw last week at Suzuka.
Look at that.
Big cars starting everywhere at the moment. We saw at Suzuka a few bold moves being made here and there. But if you can make one anywhere between, I'm going to say 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, you're really pushing on. I mean, we saw Randy Costello just pushing the front of the car up anywhere he possibly could. But the run down to 12 would definitely be one of the biggest overtaking opportunities at the moment. But you've only got 21 laps to do it, so you do have to get a win.
Rainer Costello down in position number 14 at the moment. Dylan Rudd 18th, Dylan Pereira 19th, Sean McNamara 23rd, Rehan Leonage 24th, Aaron Dodd 25th, Blake Delaney 26th. So Rainer Costello's had the best run of everybody at the moment, as was expected given where he started, which was ahead of all of those guys. But he's not quite back to where he was in the first race. However, on a night where we're not sure how it's going to play out, 7th and wherever he finishes in this second race could well be enough to push him up into the top 5 for the round. Might not be top 3, but certainly top 5.
Definitely could be a top 5. But he's got to be careful. Dylan Rudd's not that far behind him at the moment. He did just get around his old teammate though, Dean Powell. So that's put 1, 2, 3, 4. That's put positions between him and Rudd at the moment. If Rudd's going to struggle here, Costello's really got to get a wriggle on now though, and put the pressure on Coleman, Bradbury, and Davis to really get himself inside the top 10 and start pushing his way to the top of the field. But he's got one driver that he does have to worry about though in that top 10, and that is Cameron Jones.
Tell you what, I'm a little bit surprised to this point that the race safety car came in the opener, not the second one. I had all money on the reverse grid race being when all hell broke loose. No, it was about 23 minutes earlier. But in saying that, as I said at the start, drive-through penalty here for car 393, just quietly as well, ladies and gentlemen. 393 is going to be coming to pit lane, and that will be for car contact on the 469 on lap 2. So 393 is... having a look here, Simon Vella. So Simon Vella down into pit lane for a drive-through penalty. And remembering too, Matt Davis, so two things. One, we avoided the contretemps of race 1 because we had, a third of the field starting in pit lane. The second thing is pit lane penalties and unnecessary unscheduled pit stops for damage or whatever else are a killer in a sprint race where compulsory pit stops are not a thing.
Yeah, it was a big move for one of the Riot boys there, and all stepped back just before the entry there into the corner. But no, it definitely does. Oh!
No, the motor! Cameron Jones!
Bradbury, I believe. Or is it Cameron Jones?
Chris Dale, my apologies.
Chris Dale on Jones. That's a big moment there. But no, reverse grid race, you definitely need to be on the pace for all 21 laps. No little excursions into the pit lanes now.
Oh, that was unlucky. And I tell you what, that's both the KFC boys. That's both the KFC boys. First, of course, it was Jones. Then first it was Bradbury, then Jones getting caught up in incidents on this lap. Lap 4, defining moments. We talked about it at the start of the night. Tonight's going to be full of defining moments. Reina Costello down the inside. Nicely done. A little bit wide in the background there, but Reina Costello has moved his way up in the ninth position. Called Robbie Bradbury and a car behind.
Dave Coleman.
Oh, no. I tell you what, it's the thing. The incident, let's talk about Robbie Bradbury and Cameron Jones. They washed off so much speed, particularly Jones. And when you wash off speed on a circuit where, you know, you're relying on your track position, you're relying on speed, everyone's tightly bunched. This isn't the highest average speed circuit we'll race at, but if you wash any amount of speed off when the pack is that tightly bunched, it's a killer.
I mean, not to take away from the Super Series, but I think they might have. They should watch the replay of Wednesday night's race at Suzuka with the reverse grid from the Super 2E Series. They might be able to learn maybe a little thing or two about the racecraft, because those boys on Wednesday night last week is just absolutely unbelievable for a reverse grid race on a place that is such hard overtaking as well, just like Hungaroring. So patience is a virtue, as the saying goes. Zach?
Certainly is. Now, just having a look at this battle further down the order, so I think we've picked up Rehan, Leonage, Peter Crossingham, Tommy Heyman down there on the inside. Stephen Bull forcing his way through as well on Peter Crossingham and Tommy Heyman. So Heyman's been relegated a couple of positions there, unfortunately. He's lost out completely as Heyman's had a moment, and that's relegated him down to 29th. So that all started with Stephen Bull elbowing him out the way. Delaney, Angus Borg, Morris and Bailey Sibra as well all pounced. So Heyman, unfortunately, back to 29th. Here's Reina Costello in the meantime. Have a look at this bloke. 9th at the moment. Pressure applied to Robert Crisdale right here. Now we'll be trying to make light work of Crisdale. If he can't get through here, coming onto the main straight. Jeez, that's tight. We'll get him on the run to turn 1. Have a look at this. Reina Costello, the runaway. He tucks back in to get a little bit of slipstream, get a little bit of time. Now he'll make it move. The big sand down under brakes, down on the inside. That worked much better than what we saw earlier with Brian Borg.
Oh, he's run a little bit wide.
John Pereira, but unfortunately, when you don't hit your braking marker, Matt Davis, that's what happens. And now he's got to be worried about not only Costello in front of him, but Bradbury behind him as well. JP. We've been told that he got helped wide by Robert Crisdale, and sometimes that's all in racecraft, isn't it, Matt Davis? You've just got to occasionally show your opponent off the line, off the racing line, and say, no, not just yet. I'm taking that position. Thank you very much. Yeah, and you've got to make it look like race control has nothing to look at the same time, and that's not easy to do either. Oh, no.
Oh, no. Watch out.
Oh, sorry, it was Bradbury. My apologies. It was Bradbury. But I got confused because Jones was on the screen there, his number. Because of the contact from Robert Crisdale, Crisdale will get a drive-through penalty. There's another one for the 911 as well. The contact on Jones. So Jones has been a pinata on 2 occasions tonight. Both Crisdale and Nash will be paying the price.
For those guys, but I guess that's race control's discretion. They can do as they please, as they see fit, if they see him playing up just a little bit. How about this for a massive battle pack, Zach? From 10th position all the way down to 21st. It's a 10-car freight train at the moment just to get inside the top 10.
Now down on the inside, there's Rudd clearing Bradbury. Nash and Crisdale both to the lane. That's going to ruin their night, unfortunately. Barnes leads from Schultz, 1.5 seconds. Scholes is third. Kirby, no reaction from race control on that just yet. Norris, Jones, Costello, Davis, then Rudd and Bradbury making up the top 10. Then we go back to Dyke, Pereira, Hobbs, Pennefather and McNamara making up the top 15. Dodd and Leonage the next through. And Rudd being that clear of Rehan Leonage could have implications as far as Rehan's championship lead is concerned.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, we always see that the reverse grid racing can be the defining moment in the championship. with the drive back through the field in race 2, or what happens in race 1. So it's the boys really just have to stick their head down, try and put the car in places where they're not usually comfortable, but try and do it respectively as well. And Leonard's obviously not having the greatest run at the moment in his reverse grid racing.
I'm just having a look, trying to do some mental arithmetic on the fly here. We've hit third race distance, lap 7 of 21. Stick with us, folks. The long way to go on the platforms of SimShed Broadcasting. Round 3 of the Goodyear Autocare Warana SuperSeries, the Hungaroring SuperSprint. And this is, of course, at the front end of town. David Kirby under pressure from Hayden Norris and Cameron Jones. Don't rule Jones out. Jones could be a race winner tonight. There's no doubt about that. He's been hit oh no, he's coming to pit lane. Jones is coming into pit lanes. So has Jones picked up a penalty as well? Quite possibly, because he's in pit lane. That's unfortunate for Jones. Rub him out of the equation now as well. Rainer Costello moves into 5th. In all of that, Dylan Rudd will be fastest lap of the race for Rainer Costello as well. But Dylan Rudd being 7th is still on track to be the round winner at this point in time. Then take your pick for 2nd, because Pereira and McNamara are both clear of Dodd and Leonard, who finished ahead of them in the first race. The points race is going to be incredibly tight tonight. And have a look at Hayden Norris trying to send it round the outside of David Kirby, if you don't mind. Kirby keeps him at bay for the moment. That's brave and bold at turn 2. Outside manoeuvres, not the ideal way round, particularly this circuit, but try telling Hayden Norris that. This is just awesome. I mean, the Hungaroring doesn't always throw up lively racing, but tonight's the exception. Oh no, Kirby! He was a little bit wide on the curb there. He absolutely smothered it. I hope that doesn't trigger a slowdown for him, otherwise he could be in trouble here. Because remember, that's the other thing too, Matt Davis. So there's so many different variants to tonight's race. One is damage limitation in terms of championship points. Don't worry about damage limitation in terms of the cars, because the first race took well and truly care of that. But the second one is learning the circuit, because it's the new circuit. And that goes well beyond knowing braking markers, turning points, etc. and so forth. Look at this log jam. We'll come back to that in a moment. We'll let you enjoy that while Matt Davis and I talk tactics here. Is that... I'm just having a look. That's Robbie Bradbury under pressure from Aaron Dodd. Dylan Pereira's in behind him. Then Planet trouble! Trouble in the wall! Lindsay Hobbs
around.
Now, can he get that back on track and going? Yes, he can. Can he limp it to pit lane? I hope so. We'll keep this race green. The other point of interest too, Matt Davis, when you look at learning the circuit, it goes well beyond knowing the braking markers and the turning points and all that sort of stuff. Knowing where you can gain a tenth here, an inch there. It's more about, with regards to iRacing, knowing what's going to trigger those incident points with regards to track limits, because that could catch a couple out later in the race.
We're seeing guys at the moment, they're taking all the track they possibly can, plus a little bit more. To see someone with a clean race tonight, I don't think it's going to happen, just to be honest, because these guys are really pushing the cars not only to their limits, but they're pushing them beyond the limits of what you would think would be possible in these tonight. And they're really using up every available bit of a Hungaroring that there is to use.
And then some. Absolutely.
Oh, and then some, yeah. And to do damage point limitation around here as well for the championship. I mean, that's another big thing. Trying to go from the back of the field to the front of the field and try and stay ahead of your rival amongst all that. I mean, that's a challenge on its own. And then you throw in a brand new track like a Hungaroring, which they probably would have only done laps around by themselves, not really done too much head-to-head racing. And if they have done head-to-head racing, it's not against guys that they're usually used to racing. So everything gets thrown out of proportion. You might know that, we all know that Rainer Costello, he's a very late breaker.
Now, have a look at this. Two
Oh,
things.
and
One,
speaking
the
of that,
battle
man.
on screen. The battle on screen is first and second, Craig Schultz, Matty Scholes. Back to them in a moment. There is Rainer Costello running in third, if you don't mind. Behind him, Dylan Rudd's all over the back of Jamie Davis, putting pressure on him. If we can go to Dylan Rudd, you might see him make a move on the inside at turn 1. That is for P5. For Dylan Rudd, up into the top 5. Rudd is on a charge. So, whatever Costello does from this point, he won't stop Dylan Rudd from taking the round because there were 6 positions, unless Rudd or Costello falls into trouble one way or another. But there were 6 positions between them in that opening race and 7 points because Rudd got the bonus point for pole position as well. Big sideways moment for Craig Schultz under tremendous pressure from Matthew Scholes here. So, Costello, he's now battling for those minor places, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, based on where the other guys are in relation to Dylan Rudd. So Sean McNamara is 8th, Aaron Dodd's 9th, Dylan Pereira 10th. Unfortunately, it's not been a great race for Rehan Leonage. He's down the order a little bit further than you'd expect. But it could be a good result for Rayner. He might win he could still win the race if he can close the gap on these two. It is 4.7 seconds, so it's not going to be an easy task over 12 laps. He could still lie off a podium. He's first at the series. But as far as the round's concerned, he could also play a factor there based on where the other guys are around him. So that is huge in its own right. Here's Matthew Scholes and Craig Schultz, Matty Davis. I'll let you take it as Schultz has a massive sideways moment. And if Scholes can get a good run off this corner, he could be the leader at turn 1.
Schultz right out sideways out of turn 13. And as Mark Scape would say, right out sideways, all right. Matty Scholes are all over the back now as they flight in the main straight. In the slipstream, he has a look on the inside to turn 1. Can he get it done? He throws it up the inside and makes it look easy, but this is going to allow Schultz to fight back now on the exit of turn 1 as they make the approach to 2. Scholes is on the inside to 2 though, so he's going to be in the beneficial position from this one here. Schultz runs a little bit wide to go, throw it up on around the outside for turn 3. Goes to be brave and keeps around the outside the whole way long.
Rainer Costello's now only 3.5 seconds away to Matt Davis. He's closing at a rapid rate of knots. And he's got another 11 laps ahead of him. 11 to go at the Hungaroring. So there's 2 things here. These 2, it's imperative that they don't throw it away by dueling because this is a rare opportunity for them to taste the glory of a podium finish or a race win in the RSRA top tier on the Goodyear Autocare Warana SuperSeries. The problem, though, for them is, 957. 957's got the drive-through penalty. That is unfortunate. That is Simon Chadwick. Chadwick coming to pit lane for a drive-through penalty for contact earlier on. In fact, just on that, let me come back to the other point of interest at the top end of town at the moment, which is the bleeding obvious of Rainer Costello in just a moment. Chris Barnes, Tom Heyman, David Coleman all sitting in pit lane at the moment. Dean Powell, Dean Alessi and Peter Crossingham all out on the circuit, but they are a few laps down. Lindsay Hobbs and Simon Chadwick both in pit lane. Hobbs has been there for 2.5 minutes. Now, Chadwick, that'll be he's stopping actually, so that's unfortunate for him considering that it was due for a drive-through, not a stop and hold from what we saw on the screen there. I'm not sure what's going on. Scholes and Schultz lead at the front end of town. Rainer Costello from 33rd to 3rd.
He's a second quicker at the moment, runs now behind him.
He's just put in another fastest lap. 147.49 the last time by 147.6 that time round. So Rainer Costello's on a charge. The margin between him and Craig Schultz is now just on 2 seconds. So that's the other thing. I was talking about Matthew Scholes and Craig Schultz there, the importance for them to not throw it away, duking it out, and Scholes has actually put a couple of car lengths between himself, a bit of breathing space between himself and Craig Schultz. But they needed to keep it clean for their own statistical standpoint. They have a tremendous opportunity to do something they don't normally get the chance to do, and that's finish at the top end of town, finish on the podium, right? However, they have to be very mindful of the fact that a fast, hard-charging Rainer Costello is on his way through. I don't think Dylan Rudd will catch them. He's another 6 seconds down the road. There he is, under pressure at the moment from Hagen. Jamie Davis off the circuit, straight through the chicane there. So how do you play it, Matt? Because obviously Costello's the benchmark at the moment. He will catch Schultz and Scholes. It's just a matter of when. how do you play it if you're Skulls and Schultz? Do you go for the glory, or do you let Rayner go?
That's actually a very good question. I've actually never been in a position like that myself as of yet. Look, Schultz and Skulls knows that Rayner's obviously a second quicker at the moment. He's catching him at a rate of knots, and you can see, ladies and gentlemen, by lap 14, you'll see Rayner on the back end of Schultz, if not by the end of lap. Here we go. Look, lap 13 here now. So by the end of lap 13, you'll see Costello on the back end of Schultz, and giving him immense amounts of pressure. But look, you've worked hard to be where you're at the moment. You've duked it out to maintain positions 1 and 2, being Matty Skulls and Craig Schultz. Would fight Rayner Costello for everything that he has.
This is really good to see. This is really good to see. Dylan Pereira having a decent night at the office. He's had a shocking first 2 rounds of the season. He came here with a point to prove. He's inside the top 10. He's 9th at the moment. Pennefather is 11th. Davis the weakness sandwich there.
Jared Bailey.
9. No. Jared Bailey with a drive through for contact on Benny Morris, I think it is, in the 43. So that's unfortunate for him. But there has been a fair bit of hip and shoulder tonight. Lap 13 of 21. They make their way up the back straight. So 2/3 race distance will be at the completion of the next lap, lap 14. 75% will be 16 laps, I think I'm right in saying. So if you can get to 16 laps, you'll get points in this race. And there are a few drivers that are just not going to do that.
No, there isn't. There's Simon Chadwick, Peter Lessie, Lindsay Hobbs, Peter Crossingham, Dean Powell, Chris Barnes, Tommy Heyman, Dave Coleman, Brenton Nitschke.
Well,
so
Lindsay Hobbs is back out on the circuit, so as long as he can keep it clean, he will be classified. He's only 3 laps down.
I did see that. And Simon Chadwick.
Crossingham is out of the race, so forget about that.
Yes.
Dean Powell would need to get back out on the circuit almost immediately, and I don't think he's going to do that. So pretty well at this point in time, 32 can get points, but they need to keep it clean from this point to do so.
And what did I say, Zach, as well? By the end of 13, Costello will be on the back of Schultz. We're at the start of 14 now, and he is pressuring him big time. Skulls is gone out to a 1.2 second lead, though, over these guys. So let's see if Costello can make the light work of Schultz and make the hard charge to the very front of the field.
Matthew Skulls could be staring down a race win, but Rayner Costello has something to say about that. Dylan Rudd is 4th, and I think that's just getting a word in my ear from JP. What's going on, mate? Oh, okay. We'll come back to what's going on in just a moment. In the meantime, Skulls at Schultz, Costello at the moment. Costello all over the back of Schultz, putting the pressure on. Dylan Rudd is 4th. If everything stays as it is, I think that's the best that Rudd can hope for, because the margin Costello to Rudd is 6.5 seconds, and it's not diminishing in the slightest. Then Hayden Norris, Aaron Dodd, Jamie Dyke, Sean McNamara, Dylan Pereira, all names that started back end of town. Aaron Dodd, Dyke, McNamara, Pereira. Then you've got to go well down the order to 23rd, unfortunately, to find Rehan Leonage. So we talk about championship-defining moments. It's been the main feature of the narrative tonight, Matt Davis. This is not the night that this is not the second race that Rehan Leonage would have wanted. However, it gives him more motivation, more determination to go away and work on things like racecraft, like executing overtaking opportunities. As good as a racer as he is on outright pace and strategy, there are a couple of things in the 11-year-old's game plan that no doubt he and Laz will start working on at the end of tonight, because we've got another reverse grid race coming up a little bit later on in the year. Okay, it is Road America, racing overtaking opportunities. There's one actually on screen right now. Rayner Costello to second on the inside of Craig Schultz. Costello's charge to the front continues. He jumps back into second position now, and 1.4 seconds away from Matty Skulls at the front end of town. We'll come back to that in a moment, but just focusing on Rehan Leonage for a minute. I mean, the kid's 11, take nothing away from what he's done so far this season, but championships are won and lost on nights like this, so this is something that they will no doubt work on for the reverse grid race when we get to Road America later in the season, Matt. Yes, Road America is a lot easier for overtaking opportunities. It offers a lot more in terms of that, but still, this is going to be a big hit to his points haul at the end of this race if things stay as they are.
Yeah, certainly it's going to really affect him. And we know Leonardo is a strong defender. We've seen it week in, week out. And I was fortunate enough to watch young Leonardo from the very moment he stepped into the sim world in the RSRA, in the production series, the Super 2 series. I got to watch him from there, and then all of a sudden he stepped up into the Super Series. Had a very good coming last season, and then coming into Season 3 now, leading the championship. He may not be leading after tonight, but we know that's just going to give us fire a lot more. And Rehan and Laz definitely going to go away after tonight, I think, and really focus on trying to come up through the fields in the reverse grid racing and trying to get those overtaking moves done. They've got the defensive driving down. They just need to figure out the offensive now, I think.
What's also interesting with tonight's server details is that tyre sets are set to unlimited. We saw that on our race info sheet. 0.20 for car contact on 307 will be coming to pit lane. That is Hayden Norris for a drive-through. So he was running 6th, rubbing him out of the equation. Dyke to 6th, McNamara, Pereira to 7th and 8th. Davis will go to 9th and Pennefather to 10th. Here we go. This is Scholes and Costello, 1 and 2. Craig Schultz doing a great job holding on to 3rd. 4.5 seconds back is Dylan Rudd at the moment, so be mindful of that. He may still have an outside chance of catching Craig Schultz here and getting himself onto the podium. But all eyes on Matthew Scholes and Rainer Costello right now. Lap 16 of 21, so 6 to go at the Hungaroring. Just looking at the time, we will be okay, I believe, for time certainty here as they make their way around. 27 and 15, 37 is the cutoff. We will be scraping to get it in, but I think we should be okay.
Oh,
no! There's an official warning. Nothing more than that for Rainer Costello and Jamie Dyke for breaching the rule, and that will be with regards to flashing their headlights, Matt Davis. The race control, do not look upon it too favourably when you do it excessively.
Favorably, and it's good to see him. The boys just let off with the warning though. They've had a hard-fought race tonight, Jamie Dyke and Rainer Costello, and we've seen Jamie Dyke. He's going to be one to watch out for as the pace comes to him. He's a very experienced sim racer. I've raced against him many of times in the iRacing official servers, and a very strong racer. So a driver to look out for in the up and coming weeks of the season, if not next season, if we have drivers move on or other drivers step in. So yeah, definitely a strong driver Dyke, but it's good to see race control holding their ground, giving the boys a warning, and making it known that if they do play up again, that it's going to be a trip to pit lane.
I'm not sure what the coffee order is, but we're going to need some for race control. They might be there till 2 o'clock in the morning. It's been
coffee
a busy
order.
night.
Can we get some strepsils with that one too, please, Zach Haven?
Yes. Agreed. Have it with the Rainer Costello all over the back of Matty Scholes at the moment. Nothing in this. First v second. Scholes in a little bit of trouble here because Costello's on a mission. And this could be enough to get him into the top 5 for the round, especially given what's happened to Rehan Leonage. This is a huge drive from Rainer Costello. And if anyone's been able to get a clean race in all of this, that's going to be 5 bonus points that could be absolute, money can't buy sort of value at this point in time, given the nature of what we've seen throughout the course of the evening. 5 laps to go, 4.5 in fact. Scholes, Costello, Schultz, Rudd, Dodd, the top 5.
Look who is just creeping up on the back of Schultz ever so slightly, Zach Caven, ladies and gentlemen. It is Dylan Rudd. He's slowly coming into the picture. You'll see him peek over the crest. There he is there as they make their entry into turn, I believe that was 12.
Oh, Norris, he went a little bit wide out of 12 and then immediately defended Rainer Costello, but Costello's got all the momentum at the right side.
Sideways.
Oh, look at that. Now he tries to go around the outside at 14. Don't be silly, Rainer. You've still got 4 laps to do it. Onto the main straight we go. Watch him into turn 1. Gold and Costello 1 and 2. They've got Schultz in 3rd. Then, of course, Dylan Rudd. Aaron Dodd's on track for 2nd in the round if he stays where he is. What a great run from him. Costello to the inside. He goes too deep and flying all over the place. And Norris and Scholes, I should say, Matthew Scholes just holds on to the lead for the moment. Can you believe that? Costello is throwing everything at it. But In doing that, has he burned up his rubber too much, Matt Davis? Is that going to be a problem for him? Tyre wear in the closing 4 laps.
Oh, we know what this young man's like. Zach, he can be driving on rims and still punch out laps as quick as the leaders. So he's got some amazing talent at the moment. He's still going to be pressuring Scholesy for the next 3 and a bit laps until they get going to the checkered flag. Look at that, already back up onto the back bumper of Matty Scholes.
Now, what's really interesting here is that Craig Schultz is just lurking in the shadows. He has not lost any ground to these guys, so he's actually gained ground. While Scholes and Costello have been duking it out, Craig Schultz has gained territory on these guys. Dylan Rudd's throwing everything at it, but he's still 2.5 seconds away. Fast running out of time is Dylan Rudd. 3 laps to go next time by the line. Have a look at this. Scholes, Costello, Schultz, Rudd and Dodd. Aaron Dodd, as I say, on track for second in the round, which is an extraordinary result for him. Hasn't been on the podium yet this season. However, the season... Oh, what a big send down the inside from Ryder Costello into turn 13. Unfortunately, he's going to put himself on the outside for 14. And yet again, Scholes is going to try and hold on. Have a look at Costello riding on. Turn 9. Oh, if he pulls out of the season. And he's done something wrong. Now it's about the break and jaw as they get down to turn 1. Scholes on the inside, Costello on the inside, on the outside, I should say. If he can hang tough there, he'll put himself on the inside for turn 3. And that's exactly what he's done. Costello, a masterclass for the 16-year-old, if ever there was one.
What a move, Zach Caban. Around the outside of 14, around the outside of 1, and manages to take over first position from Matty Scholes. Where does that pump you up?
Mate, I'm going to do irreparable damage to my voice box if the racing keeps up recording this week. Holy moly, the GSRC delivered an instant classic at Road America last night, and now these guys are delivering an instant classic here. Costello's the leader. Scholes and Schultz now duking it out over second and third. Dylan Rudd closing in to within a second and a quarter. He can still get on the podium. Watch this with interest over the next 2 laps. 2.5 to go.
Quick, Zach. He's got to be very quick right now. He doesn't have much time to do it. And he's really got to put the pedal to the metal and get a wiggle on and catch these guys. Get by Craig Schultz. And if he can, get by Matty Scholes. And if he can do it within a lap, he might be able to start putting pressure on Rayner. We know how quick Rudd is, but we also know how quick Costello is as well. So this could be a battle for the ages.
How many times do you see it where the crisscross at 1 is how the execution of the overtaking manoeuvre finishes? We didn't see it this time because the move was done from the outside. Just bloody insane stuff from that man right there, Rayner Costello. And he's now got 2 laps to go. But look at Dylan Rudd eyeing off Craig Schultz like a hawk at the moment. And Scholes might also be in danger here as well. This is an awesome drive back through from Dylan Rudd. Champions are defined by their performances on nights like this. Costello, striker luck in race 1, of course. And a masterclass in race 2. He said it was 2 reverse grid races. He set out and proved it. A 7th, and now he's leading. Dylan Rudd, damage control. What damage control? He's gone into full send mode. He finished the first race on top. He's eyeing off his 4th podium of the season right here, right now. 2 race wins, a 2nd, and now looking at a 3rd at best. Or maybe a 2nd at best, depending upon what Scholes and Schultz serve up in the next short while. This is an awesome drive from the man that is going to be the championship leader in a lap and a half. Dodd is 5th, Dyke is 6th, McNamara 7th, Pereira 8th, Davis 9th, Pennefather 10th. The points table, Matt Davis is going to get a real shake-up this time round.
Oh, it's going to get a shake-up. You catch your breath, though, Zach Caban, and have a good rest. I'll take a lead for a little bit right here. You definitely need it, because I can hear it in the back of your throat there. But at the moment, Rudd all over the back of Schultz as they come in a 14. He's only got 1 to do it. Can Craig Schultz hold him off? And Dylan Rudd goes for a big slide through 14 onto the main straight. That's not going to help him much. Aaron Dodd, though, going to be getting second place tonight for the overall by the looks of it. He's had a spectacular drive. Through turn 1 they go. Brandon Costello, your current leader. Matty Scholes in second. Craig Schultz third. That's your current podium position at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. Doing Rudd battling it out with Craig Schultz, though, on the final lap. Can he get it done? At the moment, though, it's been all eyes on this man on your screen. Brandon Costello, the young 16-year-old who's come from the back of the pack in race 1, finished 7th position, then come from the back of the pack in race 2 and finish, or could be finishing in this position if he can make it clean. Doing Rudd, though, now will still all over the back of Craig Schultz. Doesn't look like he can get it done at the moment, though. What's he got for the last little sector at the moment? We'll have to wait and see. Through turn third, I told you my turns mixed up all of a sudden. It's very easy to get. It's very, very easy to get mixed up through here, isn't it, Zach Coben?
It is. Here he comes through turn 11 now on the run towards turn 12 for the last time. And we've got Rudd all over the back of Schultz. Schultz all over the back of Scholes. Rudd unable to do anything about Schultz at the moment. Rainer Costello, a blistering, scintillating masterclass on the ragged edge from first until last in both races tonight. And in about 3-4 seconds' time, we're going to have the 44 join the winners list this season. Third different race winner of the season. Race 4 of the year, as far as the Goodyear Autocare Warana SuperSeries is concerned, goes to Rainer Costello. Second to Scholes, third to Schultz. Rudd misses out on the podium. First time this season, but he'll take the championship lead. Dodd, another top 5 finish. Jamie Dyke, Dylan Pereira, Jamie Davis will be next time. Sean McNamara in pit lane. Sean McNamara has not taken the checkered flag. He's crossed the line in 14th and he's crossed the line in pit lane. What the hell has happened there? Out of fuel, can you believe that?
Under fuel, big time, not like big time, but in these instances, we know that his teammate Dylan Rudd copped the underfuel twice last season, I believe, or twice last season, I believe. He copped a bit of an underfuel, and he's by the looks of it, he hasn't learned from his teammates' mistakes. So tomorrow, though, trip to pit lane to quickly grab a splash and dash just across the finish line, though.
Okay, copy that, JP. Race control will have their say on the official finishing order. So when we show it to you in a moment's time, ladies and gentlemen, it will be unofficial. It will be provisional until such time that race control. As I said, they're going to be there till 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe 4 o'clock. Who knows? Once they've had their way with it, we will get a race results sheet to you, no doubt about that. Wow. Just wow. I mean, the newest circuit on the calendar, we didn't know what sort of show it'd deliver, what it'd throw up. We don't leave disappointed, Matt Davis, and now we sit around and wait in anticipation as to what the Super 2E series might throw up tomorrow night, if that is any guide, although you guys have just one flat-out sprint race.
Oh, I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. If tonight's anything to go by, I mean, the Super Series drivers can use a thing or two, a little lesson here and there of a bit of patience from the Super 2 guys. I think this all-out sprint race tomorrow night for the Super 2, oh, boy, am I looking forward to it. I reckon it's going to be one of the best that we've had within the Super 2, being a new track. And I'm ready to get into it with Dean Reddit and really see what these guys have got to offer.
All right, let's crank up the volume, folks. We haven't had a chance to do it much tonight. Let's celebrate with Rainer Costello.
Just a little bit, Zach Cam. That's a 1 point deducted, if I might say. I'm going to take the Spirit of Tasmania's points.
That's a good idea.
Here, and I'm going to and say that's 1 point deducted there to Rainer Costello for touching the grass ever so slightly. And Chris Kisby would have said that, but being the oval, you would have turned a blind eye to that. But let's have a look at the results that game and lead us away.
Let's have a look at the results indeed. On the back of that second race, we stress that these are provisional. Rainer Costello by 2.1 in the end. Extraordinary, eh? From Matty Scholes, Craig Schultz, Dylan Radar, and Dodd, Jamie Dyke, Dylan Pereira. Jamie Davis, Justin Pennefather, and Robbie Bradbury made up the top 10. Have a look at that. Kisby will be disappointed he wasn't here tonight. 6 Fords in the top 10, including one on top. Blake Delaney, Ryan Borg, Rick Severa, David Kirby, David Nash, Robert Crisdale, Bruce Tunnock, Simon Vella, Rehan Leonage, and Hayden Norris. 7-3 in favour of Holden between 11 and 20. Over the page we go again. Jared Bailey, Stephen Ball, Sean McNamara. Wow, that's disappointing for him. We've been saying it all night. Race-defining moments. There's another one right there for you, unfortunately, for Sean McNamara. Benny Morris, Scott Barchin, Sam Noble, 5 and 5 split between Holden and Ford in this part of town. But a lap down. Have a look at that. 26 home in the lead lap. Michael Angus. We saw him in the back of shot there in the closing stages. Simon Chadwick, Brian Good, Dean Alessi made up the top 30. We continue over the page again. Lindsay Hobbs will be the last of the classified finishers there on that 75% rule. That's cut off being 16 laps. Then a very long list of retirements and a few guys that will no doubt be disappointed with how that all unfolded. Cameron Jones, Dean Power, Peter Crossingham, Chris Barnes, Tommy Heyman, and David Coleman. Brenton Nitschke also failed to start that race, and thankfully the safety car wasn't called upon in that race either. We made it home in 38 minutes and 6 seconds. So we did a little bit of overtime in that race, but we got all the laps in, thankfully. We've got quite a few drivers coming in here to have a chat with us post-race here. Aaron Dodd, Craig Schultz, Dylan Rudd, Matty Scholes, Rainer Costello. No doubt we'll hear from a couple of others in just a moment as well. Because at the end of the day, round points are going to be something that might bring a couple more people in as well. I don't envy JP about to crunch the numbers, and I don't envy anybody in race control at the moment because there's a lot to analyse in all of that. Matty Davis, your take on all of that, because really, I mean, we just marvel in the brilliance of the 44. That move around the outside. I mean, I don't know if he tried on someone like Aaron Dodd or Dylan Rudd, but you can't put anything past him at the moment.
Certainly not. I mean, the man's on fire tonight from pit lane, and mind you, I've got to stress this to the viewers at home. When you start at pit lane, you don't start when the green light goes. You're starting once the whole entire field has completely passed you. So from absolutely dead last, plus the pit lane transit, and then getting up to speed, you're probably a good 10 seconds behind the field, where thankfully that there was a big accident at the start of race 1. But that sort of helps Rainer Costello get to where he was in race 1. But race 2, what a masterclass drive by the young man himself. Able to fight through the field at a blistering rate, and then just challenge Matty Scholes and Craig Schultz for the very top steps tonight. And I think Hard Charger Award Zach's pretty clear tonight.
No, it's pretty bleeding obvious, isn't it? Absolutely. Hey, Rainer Costello, stay there. I'm coming to you shortly. I want to bring in Dylan Rudd and say, mate, on our numbers, congratulations. That's a round win for you, by virtue of the fact that you were P1 in race 1 and also P4 in race 2. You threw everything you had at it. You just couldn't find a way by Craig Schultz and Matty Scholes on that last lap there.
Yeah, I just didn't really have the tyre life left in it to challenge for a pass with 1 lap to go. So yeah, just settled for P4.
And in the end, I mean, when you look around you, and unfortunately Rehan Leonage was well down the order down there in 21st. You had Aaron Dodd covered off quite comfortably time gap-wise. It's again one of those risk versus reward situations, and there was no need to take the risk.
No, that's right.
All right, mate, I'm coming back to you shortly. Well done. Stay there for me. Let's go to Matty Scholes and Craig Schultz, because at one point there, you two were the top end of town. Craig led for a while. Matty found a way past. And then in the end, along come young Rainer Costello and just, did what Rainer does and found a way by the pair of you. But must be a nice feeling, Craig Schultz, to be on the podium even though it is a reverse grid race, on a night where a lot of people struggle to keep their nose clean.
Yeah, definitely. It's certainly a new feeling for me to be on the podium. Hopefully there'll be more to come, but yeah, I guess time will tell.
It was interesting when it was you leading the way. We spoke about two different elements of what might unfold. One was you two hopefully not getting caught up in the moment and throwing the battle away and throwing a potential podium away. You were very both mindful of that, and you raced very respectfully. So well done to the pair of you. But then we were also mindful of how you would play it defensively speaking when Rainer came along, knowing full well that it's very rare for you guys, and exceptionally rare, as you've already just alluded to be in that position to either take a race win or at least claim a podium. What was going through your mind?
Well, I was keeping an eye on the relative to see who was gaining positions, because I knew it would come to a point where the quick guys were going to be coming through. But yeah, I was also very mindful of tyre life, because I actually did an official race through the week and went as long as I could on tyres, and they got pretty bad towards the end. So I sort of knew what I was expecting. So I didn't want to throw the card too hard and have nothing at the end.
This is very true. Matty Scholes, same question. What was going through your mind when you were at the pointy end of town and you were leading the thing and you had the opportunity to claim a race win?
Very similar, actually. Once I managed to finally get past Craig, it was just the same thing, watching the relative trying to stay clean, and you knew they were going to be coming, so it was just sort of, how long can we hang on, and can we sort of hang on and get a podium? So very happy with second.
Not that I want to make JP's job any more difficult. Obviously, hopefully very shortly, the viewers at home will see some replays there for you. But I'm also looking forward to seeing if anyone got a clean race in either race tonight as well. I'm not liking my chances on that.
No.
Just an extraordinary night at the office. Matty, could you quite believe that Rainer put it on you through the outside, around the outside at not only 14 but also 1?
Yeah, I could. He was you could tell he had pace everywhere, so I was just trying to set myself up for the two big exits onto the straights. So I knew he was going to come at me somewhere else. I was happy sort of to hold on and race him for a couple laps, to be honest. Yeah, he's quite a bit quicker than me.
Dylan Rudd mentioned something about tyre wear there, which I'll explore with him in more detail a little bit later on. Obviously, we've got another 30-odd minutes here, folks, before we have to be out of here for the night. So stay with us on the platforms of Sim Shed Broadcasting, wherever you're tuning in around Australia. It's been well worth your time so far, let me tell you. But what was going through your mind with regards to tyre wear and the like, Matty Scholes? Because, I mean, we talk so often about in the super sprint races how you, in the sprint races, how you come in, you've got the luxury of everyone being on strategies, varying and the like, but everyone's at least taking on a new set of rubber at some point. In a super sprint race where it's hell for leather, all guns blazing, elbows out from the start, and a pit stop kills you, how important is it to try and manage the tyres, and how difficult was it on the newer circuit on the platform?
Yeah, it was difficult. I actually hadn't done an official all week, so I had no idea, which probably helped me. I was just flying blind and just doing what I normally do, so I didn't really think about it too much, to be honest. I was just watching the relative and watching the charges come after me.
All right. Hey, boys, stay there for me. Thanks very much for stopping on by. But we're not done with you just yet. And, of course, when we get to the top 3 for the round, I wouldn't be surprised if we have one other driver in here joining us. So I'm just trying to work out who it might be. I think Rainer might just scrape through in third. I'm just trying to do some mental arithmetic in my mind here, but it's not working for me at this point in time. All right, Rainer, get in here, mates. Get your hands out and smash them together for this bloke, ladies and gentlemen, because, by gee, that was some of the best racing we've ever seen from him tonight. 16 years of age and just showed class beyond his years in that second race. You were on the absolute ragged edge. You said to me after the disappointment of qualifying that it was going to be full send tonight, and you set up and proved it.
Yeah, I definitely didn't expect to be coming home in first in this race, but a few things didn't go my way at the start. It was pretty hectic, but I managed to just force my way through, just sort of pick the cars off one by one, and by about lap 7, I was on 13x out of 16x, so I was very worried about that. So
Jeez.
yeah, so I spent the next 13 laps on 13x, so I couldn't get any more incident points. So that I was probably a little more cautious at the end, but also credit to Matthew and Craig, because yes, it's a reverse grid race, but they've also come up 15 and 17 positions, so they did a great job tonight. Credit to them. I didn't want to be the one to take it away from Matthew for the win. He drove a great race, but yeah, I was pretty hungry for that win, third Mustang win of the season. First.
Yeah. I was going to say, don't feel too bad about taking it away from Matthew. He'd already taken it away from Craig. I mean, that's racing. That's how it happens sometimes. But in saying that, mate, can I just apologise in advance to anyone that's going to go and watch the replay out of the drivers? Because at one point here, your ears are going to
Wear
probably bleed.
earplugs.
And affording apology to JP and that as well, because they were in the booth with me at the time. Your performance from turn 14 trying to go around the outside, I thought you were insane. Then you put it around the outside at 1, which we knew was more of an overtaking opportunity. Normally, the token way of doing it is on the inside. You said, nah, full send on the outside, knowing full well that if you could hold it, having the inside run for turn 3 was going to be the place to be. What was going through your mind? Because it was clear to us that your tyres were absolutely shagged, and you were on the ragged edge. It was slipping and sliding all over the place. What was going through your mind when you were trying to get past Matty Scholes?
Yeah, there was definitely not much left in the tyres, but yeah, I sort of just threw it up the inside because I saw for the previous couple laps he wasn't quite as strong coming off of that third last turn. So for a few laps I was trying to set up an overtake there. Finally got a pretty good run out of there. He left just enough room for me. Credit to him for leaving the room because I fully sent it. And then yeah, I was sort of hoping to have the move done by the last corner, but then he managed to keep it there. So I just had to hang on around the outside and then tried to get the run down the straight. He managed to get the side draft and then yeah, just held it around the outside at 1, and that was it.
Mate, it was quite something. My voice boxes had done irreparable damages done to it over the last 2 nights through Road America GSRC GT3 racing last night, and then of course this tonight. But it's been one hell of a start to the week. If they can keep that up, my goodness gracious me, the rest of the season's looking pretty damn good. Hey, we'll get your thoughts on the next round of the championship shortly too, boys. But just getting some word through from race control here. Go for it, JP. Come back on air and join us, mate. What's going on?
Mate, I've been crunching data and I've got some race results for you.
Oh, beautiful. Let's have a listen and find out how things have changed, because no doubt we had speculation that things were provisional and then
it's a tie for second.
Wow. Have a look at that. Yep. Oh, wow. There you go. And to be fair, as I was saying earlier, I wasn't sure how it was going to work out on points. JP, just quickly while you're here, mate, no clean races tonight?
Actually, we did have 3 drivers with a clean race in the first race, and that was Dylan Rudd, Rahan Leonage, and Sean McNamara.
Okay.
Wow.
Oh, well, that makes sense. They're at the pointy end of town. They didn't get caught up in, the marble race that was going on behind them. And also as well, while we've got you, JP, race control, are they still reviewing the tape, or is everything official as it stands at the moment?
So everything's unofficial at this stage. iRacing has issued some penalties, so that'll be reflected in the points. We've got the DNF drivers that are reflected in the points as well. That will be confirmed tomorrow, but at this stage the points are looking pretty well where they should be.
All right, well, that's them on the screen for you folks, so let's run through it. Dylan Rudd 148, so another round win for Dylan Rudd. He has a habit of racking them up on Tuesday night. Not sure why. Aaron Dodd, Rainer Costello on 144 apiece. Jamie Dyke 138, so a good bounce back to form for him. Also for Dylan Pereira, just missed out on a top 5 finish. Blake Delaney, a good showing from him. Rehan Leonage, disappointing for him in 7th, no doubt. 17 points. Oh, mate, I feel for Rehan because he got boxed in that race. He finished down in 21st. Of course, Dylan was 4th. That's your 17 points right there. And that'll be reflected in the outright championship standings, of course, at the end of the night, knowing full well that Rehan Leonage had a 7-point advantage coming into this round. Justin Pennefather was 8th, Jamie Davis 9th, and Craig Schultz 10th. We'll let that roll over so you can have a look at where your favourite driver ended up. Matty Scholes, well done, 12th place. Sean McNamara, Simon Vella, David Nash in there as well. Brian Borg. Now, you talk about championship defining moments. Brian Borg's first race was an absolute shocker. Let me come back to that with Matt Davis in just a moment. Rick Sibra rounded out the top 20. And David Kirby was 22nd. Lindsay Hobbs, 23rd. Hayden Norris, Dean Alessi, Bruce Tunnock. So some notable names down the back end of town tonight. Ben Morris, Michael Angus as well. And one more scroll will go and have a look here all the way back to 35th position. Brenton Nitschke, no points tonight. Chris Barnes, no points tonight. But Tommy Heyman, a shocker as well. So to Cameron Jones. Matt Davis, before I get back to the drivers here and we have a chat to them about the round that was, and well done to Aaron Dodd and well done to Raina Costello. In all of that, big night for Brian Borg, big night for Rehan Leonage. In Rehan's case, 10 points is manageable. He can try and claw that back. Brian Borg's lost a huge chunk, unfortunately. That first race just was not his friend. We thought the second race was going to be the problem. No, it was the first. So we talk about championship-defining moments. Dylan Rudd getting through this round relatively scot-free could serve him well in 8 weeks' time when we will be at the mountain.
Well, that's very true. I mean, it's not taken away from Dylan Rudd or anything, but no mean to jinx you, mate. But you did also fail to complete 2 rounds last year, or 2 finishes last year due to no fuel. So that cost obviously a couple of positions, and that's all it can take for Leonage to make up those positions again. So for Rudd's sake, we hope that doesn't happen, and it's a real hard-fought championship to the end of the season leading up to that big and almighty Bathurst 1000. And mind you, that's double points there as well. So a lot of ground can be made up in that final race of the season, Zach. So it's really still a long season to go, very long season to go. And anything can happen. We've seen it. For instance, Raina Costello couldn't make it for I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was 3 or 4 weeks, maybe even longer. That really implemented his championship, and he was on for an extremely good season, possibly a championship win. So you never know what's going to happen on the sim racing platforms, and you can be crook, you can be working, you can be anything. So we're just going to have to wait and see. It's still a long way to go to the big Bathurst 1000, and I mean, if Chris Gisby, the Spirit of Tasmania, can't be for the rest of the season, I mean, I'll be riding shotgun for the whole lot of it, mate. So you'll have me along board to really ride this out and then finish it up at the end of the year.
Exactly. Now, I'm looking forward to every bit of it as much as you are, my friend. Of course, Wednesday Night Motorsport, we'll get a preview of that for our viewing audience very shortly as well. But before we go any further, let's focus with Dylan Rudd here for the moment. These rounds are challenging for a number of reasons. Tonight, new track. You already said earlier that you're not a huge fan of the circuit, but you wouldn't be able to tell but based on just the results of the night. Just talk to me about the tyre wear, because was that a direct consequence of having to use up a little bit of rubber to work your way through the field and make some overtaking opportunities happen? Or was it just a natural course of this circuit being a little bit cruel on the rubber? What do you think?
Just from having to pass so many cars, I looked down, I was at lap 8, and I was in trouble at lap 8 because the tyres felt pretty average from there on.
I'll just butt in as well, Zach. I mean, it's not the smallest field that we had tonight either. I mean, there was 38 cars out on track. So that's, I think, probably one of the biggest showings we've had all season. I think it might have been round 1 was another big showing of 38 cars as well. So the biggest field that they've probably ever had in a reverse grid race. At probably one of the hardest tracks at a reverse grid race too. So, I mean, all credit to you, Dylan. It's an absolutely amazing effort for you tonight.
Thanks, mate.
Indeed, it is. Talk to me about the fact that we've got to round 3. We've got 8 to go. You are the championship leader. So essentially, to a point, you've picked up pretty much where you left off at the end of season 2. It's taken a couple of weeks to get there, though. Are you noticing that the bar's been raised this season in terms of the pressure that's coming for you and the drivers that really want to be exactly where you are right now?
Not sure. It's definitely everyone's driving's improved. Got a couple new drives that are definitely fast and win races every round. So yeah, just got to keep on top of my game.
Indeed. Hey, let's go back to Matty Scholes and Craig Schultz because we don't always get to have a chat to these guys on a Tuesday night. Road America's the next time we see reverse grid racing. We know that overtaking opportunities there are a lot more prevalent than what they are on this circuit. So you guys must take a tremendous amount of confidence out of the fact that you've been able to put this together tonight, knowing full well that you don't get too many opportunities too, and championships, any position in the championship is defined by being able to make the most of the opportunities presented to you. What are your thoughts on that, Matty Scholes and Craig Schultz?
Yeah, 100% agree. When you get the opportunity, you got to take it. So, yeah, happy with voting tonight. We'll see what that leads to come to Road America. But yeah, week in, week out, it's hard to keep up with these boys at the front. But yeah, when you do get the opportunity with these reversals, yeah, definitely got to take them.
Indeed. Craig Schultz, your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely got to take the ball by the horns and yeah, take any advantage that you can with these reverse grids. Yeah, Road Atlanta's a pretty, Road America is a pretty big flowing track. So yeah, but yeah, there's plenty of hard braking zones, like you said. So lots of overtaking position opportunities.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And a much longer racetrack as well. In saying all that, I want to go back to race 1 with you two just for a moment, since you're here, because you had a better viewpoint of it than Aaron Dodd, Dylan Rudd, and also Rainer Costello. And I'm not meaning to leave Aaron Dodd hanging either. I'm getting to him very shortly. But since you guys are here, talk to me about your viewpoint and what was going through your mind when you've come across cars just spiraling out of control on the run to turn 1, because you guys, having started, where was Matty, 17th and Craig down in 25th, you would have been right in the thick of that garbage.
Yeah, I was right dead centre of it. Thought I might have snuck down the outside, but yeah, got collected. I was actually surprised that the car continued, and I was able to, I think I finished 1 lap down, which was very surprising. Yep. I sort of went in while they were on safety car, took a minute of repairs to remove the meatball flag, and then just went out to circulate. And the car actually, I think I stood on 148, so it wasn't too badly damaged. So it was good, so you could basically get that opportunity in the second race.
Indeed it was. And Craig Schultz, I mean, you never like to see incidents like that ruin so many races so early in the thing. Unfortunately, race control came back to us and said Benny Morris was the one that let the chain off, and it was just a chain reaction from there. Talk us through your viewpoint of it, please.
Well, yeah, from my seat there, I thought that I was going to escape a lot of injury from just going down the outside, but just happened to get tagged by a car that was spinning, and that was all. I ended up getting a meatball out of it. So yeah, luckily there was a safety car and managed to get out ahead of the leaders, and and kept it on the lead lap, which was very, very good. But yeah, I did have a quick look back at the incident that sparked it all, and yeah, it's a bit unfortunate how it all ended up. Lots of people were impacted by it. Yeah, but racing is racing, and if you don't go for the gap, then you're not racing anymore. So
absolutely,
Ben
100%.
could have used a bit more caution, but yeah.
And I think also one thing in Ben's defence there, when you look at the circuit, because of the the bitumen associated with the pit lane exit, the circuit does slightly narrow as you go down towards turn 1 as well. And depending upon your viewpoint, if you're tucked right under the rear of another car in front, you sometimes miss little details like that. It happened to one of the GSRC boys last night at Road America for exactly this. Anyway, let's keep you guys here because I'll get your thoughts on Long Beach and I'll get you to thank some sponsors before we sign off tonight. Hold off on the championship points, JP. We'll have a look at that in a moment because I haven't even spoken to second and third for the round yet. That being said, can we just point out 2 new names on the round podium? The first couple of weeks, it's been Rudd, Leonage, and Borg in no particular order. 1 round win for Rudd, 1 round win for Leonage, 1 race win for Leonage, 1 race win. You know how it works, but in different weeks. 1 week, Leonage won got the result for the race win, but because of a clean race for Dylan, I think that's how it worked. Anyway, let's continue on here with both. Well, there's the calendar for you on screen at the moment. No, that's actually the don't worry. Ignore me. Disregard me.
It's been a long night in the office, that's for sure.
It has been. Super 2E series is something we'll get to a little bit later on, Matt Davis. I'm glad you're still here. We'll have a chat about that in just a moment. In the meantime, can we just focus with Aaron Dodd for the moment? What a sigh of relief you must be breathing right now, mate, to have kept your nose clean tonight, to have brought that home the way you did. I mean, it was a hard charge in that second race. To work your way through the field and bring it home in position number 5. In the first race, it was 3rd, and in all of that, you've come away with 3rd for the round behind Mr. Rayner, but only on points count back. You've now got yourself a very solid foundation in which to build upon for the rest of the season, and we've been waiting to see that from you since the second season started so horribly. So talk us through the first 3 weeks, because this is the first time I've had an opportunity to have a proper chat to you. And tonight, you finally netted a round podium.
Yeah, much better tonight. That's what we were chasing. Build up a good little fight in the championships there. So, good night. And over the first couple weeks, just had something in my CFG file that wouldn't reset my car. So I done a lap, came back into the pits and went back out with no fuel and then ended up running out. So I'll fix that up. And a few mistakes on the last race. The pit strategy was on point, but when I came out of the pits, I had to battle with like a back marker, which put me out 3 seconds. And then I think Rehan or Rayner jumped in between the gap, and that was it from there. But yeah, much better performance tonight. Brought in a secret weapon for me and Dylan, our spotter and engineer for the night, Mr. James Scott. So massive shout out to him, and thanks very much for working double time.
Well, that's, yeah, exactly right. Does he get paid for double time, or does he get the normal rate because it's a Tuesday, a weeknight?
Yeah, it's Tuesday, so 2 for 1.
Yes. Nothing like making everyone feel like Pizza Hut at 10:15 on a Tuesday night. Aaron, it was an interesting night at the office. Obviously, you put all the pressure in the world on Rehan in the first race. In the second race, it was just trying to keep your nose clean and slice and dice your way through the pack as best you could. You couldn't have seen that ending as well as it did at the start of the night, based on all the garbage that unfolded at the back end of town in race 1. We got through race 2 caution free, and you guys all ably assisted by the fact that a few of the protagonists in that pile up in race 1 started in pit lane, so that made the job a little bit easier. But as Dylan said earlier, and the other boys agreed, it's not the easiest circuit for overtaking, so you guys had to work hard tonight.
Yeah, the second race was way harder than the first race. The overtaking opportunities are so little around here, so you really have to set yourself up like 3 or 4 corners before the actual overtaking. And the tyres go within 5-6 laps, and then on lap 8, that's it, they're done. So you really have to manage the car for the rest of the race. I think it was like lap 13, and I was on 15 incidents. So it was pretty much the hardest race I've had to do without getting an incident. In that case. So I was just really happy to bring it home.
Okay, we've got the calendar. We'll have a look at that in just a moment. There it is on screen for you. That's, of course, the we'll have a look at it in a moment, the DSL Welding Super 2 East Series, and we'll get Matt Davis's thoughts on that. And, of course, we'll get these boys to have a chat about. We might go a few minutes past 10:30 tonight, folks. We are there's a lot to unravel on a night like this, but we will have a look at the next round of the GAC Series as well before we go, as an important point of interest going into next week. In all of that, let me throw the conversation back to Rainer Costello. That must give you a tremendous boost of confidence now, mate. The first couple of weeks you've been there or thereabouts, but to come through and prove that you very much here and mean business tonight, what do you take out of tonight going forward, knowing very full well that it could have been a lot worse than what it turned out to be?
Yeah, well, the first 2 rounds I didn't really have a lot of practice. Probably I had a bit more for Barcelona, but for Suzuka I bought it on the Monday night before the race.
That's
so
right.
I didn't have too much practice, but this track I knew a little bit better from driving GT cars around it. So yeah, I definitely felt a bit stronger into tonight. Felt like I could do something a bit more, but qualifying definitely hindered the progress. But obviously came back pretty good after that. So the damage limitation was pretty good too, and pretty happy to get second for the round. So yeah, definitely a bit of confidence coming out of that. Hopefully that can set us up for the rest of the season, and we can just keep getting consistent points finishes and hopefully some podiums.
Whilst the Wednesday night motorsport calendar is up on the schedule on the screen there for you, ladies and gentlemen, let me just point you in the direction of a couple of interesting points here. Firstly, next week we go into Triple Crown mode, but for the Super 2 boys, it's sprint mode around Long Beach, so they're 13 laps shorter. The first Enduro will be Circuit of the Americas West configuration, whereas we do our endurance race a week later at the Interlagos circuit in Brazil. Mid-Ohio will be part of the Triple Crown, and that will be therefore a longer race for the boys on Wednesday night than what it will be for the boys on Tuesday night. I think I'm right in saying Road America is a sprint race, whereas for us it is a super sprint, and their second super sprint will be Donington, whereas we will have a normal sprint round there. So obviously it gives a degree of separation between the 2 series, outside of naming rights, sponsors, and the like. Now, the other point of interest with that calendar on screen at the moment is Saturday, December 11 and Sunday, December 12. We will still be here on the Tuesday night that week for qualifying for round 11, but it's going to be a 3-day broadcast, because on the Saturday, we'll go into top 10 shootout mode for 90 minutes between 4:30 p.m. and 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. And then on Sunday, we're with you for about 8 hours, bringing you one of the great spectacles in sim racing, the Goodyear Autocare Warana Bathurst 1000, and we're already looking forward to that. We will hopefully start leaking some details to you with regards to driver lineups and the like over the next few weeks. Right, let's go around the room, because next week when we get to the Super Series, it is Long Beach. And I'm crunching the numbers here. My calendar tells me it's a 64-lap race around Long Beach, which Matt Davis is a smidgen on 200 kilometres here. Which means it's almost an enduro workout for these guys. It's only 50k short of an enduro workout, 202.688, and I think the race around Interlagos is just under 250. So it means that we meant what we said when the race distances vary this season, and Long Beach, you see it in an IndyCar, it's a long slog. So these guys, knowing that it's a concrete canyon, knowing that reward favors the brave, and there's plenty of risks involved, and no margin for error, on the back of a race like tonight, where they're running on a circuit where overtaking is notoriously difficult, they're backing it up and going to Long Beach. So it doesn't get any easier.
I don't want to hear the word Long Beach at all, but I mean, look, I had a good outing start of this year at Long Beach when I was driving, but
Yep.
I'm gonna be glad to be in the booth this time around for Long Beach because man, what a track Long Beach is! It's, as you said, it's a concrete canyon. It's like the circuits of Chicago. There's no forgiveness in that track at all. And especially through the fountain. I mean, geez, what a tight corner to get through off a
Yeah.
race start as well. And it's going to be all mayhem breaking loose. So if we can get through the first lap of Long Beach without an incident, look, I'll put my hand up and say I'll put $100 towards Beyond Blue Foundation because that's going to be absolutely spectacular. So I'll put it onto the drivers for that one. I'll actually back myself for that. $100 of Beyond Blue Foundation, which FU Suicide do back. I'll put $100 to it if we can get a clean race start for the Super Series, and if the Super 2 can back it up with a clean race start as well, lap 1, I'll put another $100 onto it as well. So
All right.
So $200 across both nights on the wager, providing the drivers can get their stuff together. So I hope the drivers do watch back the broadcast as well, because that's going to be a little bit of an enticement for them. But no, it's going to be definitely a tough couple weeks coming up for the boys, especially coming into the start of the Triple Crowns as well. I mean, that's really just the appetizer, though, of what's yet to come, Zach.
Indeed it is, mate. And I'll tell you what, I'll see what I can do with regards to funds and the like. I might even have in on that because,
mate, it doesn't even have to be $100, 50,
No.
10. I mean, and that goes for everybody, all our viewers watching, and the drivers as well. I mean, every little bit of fundraising for men's mental health, and it's not only just men's mental health as well. It's females' mental health, but the men, and we spoke about this not too long ago on the Drive Home show of the Ipswich Radio for West Bremer. So, you know, men's suicides, they are the leading in suicides for all cases, for all deaths relating to suicide. So, I mean, any little bit to help and to prevent that stuff, and that's what FU Suicide's all about. So, I mean, even if it's $10, ladies and gentlemen, that's all it's got to be. It's every little donation helps at the end of the day.
Matty Davis, very nicely spoken on the subject of Drive Home in your segment. Stay with me. I'll have a chat to you off air because I've got a surprise for you.
Well, grab a CC, mate, because we'll have a good chat.
I've got none in the fridge, but that's all right. It's a cool enough day. I can just put some ice in it. Yeah, that sounds good to me. All right, let's before we get to the off-air stuff, let's work our way around the room. Craig Schultz, Matty Scholes as guys that relatively hang out in the mid-pack, and that's, you know, not said with any disrespect intended. Do you feel nervous about the opening stages of Long Beach next week? I'll go to you first, Craig.
It's definitely a tight and twisty circuit, so yeah, it's going to be a challenge. Going back to a couple of seasons ago, it was very interesting when we first went there, but yeah, it's going to be a good challenge. I'm looking forward to it.
And knowing how iRacing staggers the grid, I wouldn't be surprised if the last couple of rows are actually on that hairpin at the last corner, given how big the field sizes have been so far this year. Matty's Scholes, what's your plan of attack? Because tonight was all about keeping your nose clean, and next week's going to be just the same. There's no margin for error there. Unfortunately, there was a little bit of runoff area here at the Hungaroring, not next week.
Yeah, no, there's not. I've been unfortunately caught up in a couple this season, so tonight's race 1 was very similar again. So, yeah, cross my fingers for the start next week that we can get through a lap and see where we go from there.
Rayner Costello, Long Beach. You like it? You love it? You hate it? What's the plan of attack? How do you feel about next week, mate? 200 Ks.
Yeah, Long Beach should be a challenge. Hopefully, everyone can keep their noses clean and we'll have some good racing. But yeah, definitely a great track. I think the supercars suit it quite well.
Yeah, absolutely. Aaron Dodd, we spoke at length during the broadcast, and again when you joined us in the booth here, about how you've always had the pace, but sometimes the luck hasn't followed you. What's the plan of attack for next week to keep this solid start of the season going, please?
Well, luckily for me, Long Beach is probably my favourite track, so I think we're going to do really good. Yeah, I'm comfortable driving that, fast on the pace, good at quali, so next week is really hoping to do good for that one.
Very nicely done. Now let's go to tonight's too good, Dylan Rudd, the round winner, and get his thoughts on it as well, because we've had a couple of Grand Prix circuits to start the season, mate. Long Beach falls into the Grand Prix configuration by virtue of the IndyCar circuits calling it a Grand Prix circuit, but it's very different to the 3 circuits we've had thus far.
Yeah, definitely a change of track, different style of track. Yeah, it's pretty fun to drive, definitely challenging. So should be a good race. Everyone can keep it clean.
And if memory serves, the last time we raced on a concrete canyon was the Chicago street circuit, and you scored the competition there. So there's something about street circuits.
Oh, let's hope so.
Yeah, let's hope so indeed. Right, guys, I'm obviously already running out of time here. I'd love to stay and chat a little bit longer. Obviously, only one super sprint race remaining in the season. And of course, what have we got? 2 enduros before the big one, so 2 mini enduros, including one next week, and a plethora of sprint racing to come as well. So 1 super sprint, 1 enduro, 1 triple crown. That gives me 4 sprint rounds, and of course the 1000. That's what's left ahead of us this season on the platforms of SimShed Broadcasting. As far as Tuesday Night Motorsport is concerned, we'll preview the rest a little bit later on. In the meantime, round the room, please. Since they're here, Craig Schultz, Matty Scholes, for your podium finish in that second race, the reverse grid feature. I'll get you to thank some sponsors while you're here. Starting with you, Matty.
Yeah, I'll just thank you boys for commentating, and JP for putting it all on. Thank Raider and Craig. It was a good little battle towards the end there. But thank F Suicide, SimShed Broadcasting, and a couple of our sponsors, Capital Custom Works and Bliss Homes.
I was going to say, don't thank us for the show we put on. It doesn't happen without you guys putting on a show. And by gee, did you deliver tonight? My goodness gracious me. I've dropped a couple of cylinders in the voice box already this week, and there's another 3 days to come. Hey, let's go round the room here. Let's go to Craig Schultz.
Yeah. Obviously, a massive thanks to you guys in the commentary box and JP for hosting the series. Without that, we wouldn't all have a series to race in. But yeah, team sponsors Visible and Track Racer and Jinx Shifters and yeah, a few others. But yeah.
Not very used to it. I can tell, Craig.
No,
Schultz.
definitely not
Put on the spot, definitely.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for. Righto. Aaron Dodd, 3rd for the round. Well done. And you've got some people no doubt worth thanking.
Yeah, huge shout out to the 9-5 boys and Macca for everything he does. SRT Australia, Racecraft Simulations, Bauer Media, Racing Ears, 3D Printing, Cutting Edge Tracks, RSW Graphics, and Fuck Suicide.
Excuse the French in that one, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yep.
Rainer Costello. I was going to try and let it slide, but that's okay. Apologies to those of you in the West where it's only 2 minutes away from being allowed. M-rated. Forgive us for that. Let's go across net. We knew it was going to happen eventually, Matt Davis. Let's go to Rainer Costello. Back in form, back on the podium, back in victory lane. 3rd different race winner of the season. His first win of this particular series. And on the round podium for the first time as well. Go for it, buddy.
I'd like to thank Goodyear Autocare. I'd like to thank Goodyear Autocare Warana, Blue Stampede Labour Hire, DSL Welding Services, Save Tools, VR Covers, Racing with Autism, Cars for Hope, Drop VR Covers, and my mum and dad and granddad for all watching, JP for all the support, and all the volunteers that make the series possible, and F Suicide.
Well done, Rainer, and no doubt I'm looking forward to a message from you next week after your qualifying performance, which no doubt that's what you want to improve next week.
Yeah. Also, sorry to Goodyear for absolutely botching the name.
Just a quick thing as well. Zach, I'll just butt in there.
Before I get the Dylan ride, yep, go for it.
Yeah, with Goodyear Autocare Warana as well. I did mention it on Wednesday night's broadcast last week, but they have been our longest running sponsor now throughout the whole entire series, starting all the way back, I believe, from season 1 or season 2. From the top of my mind. So for those guys to still be on board to us, that's a big credit to them, and thank you very much.
not just a credit to them, but also a credit to what JP and the crew
Yes.
do in putting the product together, because a good product attracts good sponsors, and Goodyear Autocare Warana have been very, very loyal in that department. Back as the naming rights sponsor for the 1000 for the second year in a row as
And
well.
I reckon maybe we could even entice them to give us some weekly deals for our customers up in the Warana area.
Without a doubt. We already have, apparently, from
Oh,
what
there we
JP
go. Well, I
was
think we
saying,
need to
so
start getting those broadcasted across the ears, JP.
I think we need a banner on the broadcast for next week. Absolutely. There's another job for JP that he probably didn't want.
If he doesn't have enough already.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Dylan Rudd, before we completely forget, the floor is yours, my friend. Well done.
Yes, I thank all the guys from 95 Sim Sport, especially Sean, our sponsors, SRT Australia, Racecraft Simulations, Ballard Media, Racing Ears Custom Ears Protection, 3D Printing, Cutting Edge Tracks and RSW Graphics, and James Scott for spotting.
Well done, mate. Very nicely done. Congratulations to you. Back in victory lane again, not just as far as the round is concerned, but with that race win earlier. 2 race wins to you so far this season. Rehan Leonage, Rainer Costello, the other race winners to this point. From a SimShed broadcasting standpoint, I was going to say, Dylan, thank you again. I know you don't always get the opportunity to stick around right to the very end, mate, but we appreciate it on this occasion, and we'll catch up with you from Long Beach. From a SimShed broadcasting standpoint, we have to thank the following people for making what we do possible here each and every week, of course, and that includes DSL Welding, Dragon RC, Blue Stampede Labour Hire, also SDK Gaming, Track Cams for Gourmet, and of course the naming rights sponsor, Goodyear Autocare Warana. 4 for 3 deal that JP mentioned in our earpiece a moment ago. On selected Goodyear tyres, buy 3, get 1 free on selected Goodyear passenger and 4x4 tyres. So just go and see the good folk at Goodyear Autocare Warana. They'll look after you. Now, I'm sorry, I just stole a tagline from Bob Jane Team. Doesn't matter. Matt Davis, before we get out of here completely, Rainer Costello was brilliant. I mean, that move around the outside, we'll talk about that all season.
I think that's going to be the talking point for the rest of the RSRA history. That is one of the most highlights. I think if we had a highlights reel, that'd be at number 1 for this year, I'd say. So,
and I think the pile up in race 1 will be number 2.
That boy's going to send me prematurely grey.
And then we're going to be having a photo of JP apparently prematurely grey from everybody in the RSRA series. Oh, jeez whiz.
No, not everybody, just Rainer.
Just Rainer, we're told,
just Rainer, apparently.
Because everyone was on the ragged edge, and everyone was on the edge of their seat watching him try and pull that off, giving everybody a premature heart attack, because it was ballsy. There's no doubt about that. It was brave, and it was a magnificent performance from him. There's no doubt about that. Quickly, mate, let's have a look at I almost forgot about the championship. Let's have a look at the championship points, how it all finished up. I got the sponsors in.
That's the main thing.
There it is. I said it'd be about 10 points. It is. Dylan Rudd, Rehan Leonage. That's not unsalvageable, but look who's third. Look who's lurking. Rainer Costello moves up. Brian Borg drops a significant margin tonight, now 36 points off the pace. Drew McNamara just below him again. Not the night at the office he would have been hoping for. 388 for Jamie Dyke and 380 for Aaron Dodd. Also Simon Vella. So Dodd's on a charge, but again, he needs a little bit of luck to go his way. Ben Morris, 360. Robert Crisdale, 349. How critical is that reverse good race at Road America going to be when it comes to trying to salvage some redemption there?
Well, it's only 10 points as well, Zach.
That's right.
2 clean races.
Exactly. That's a very good point, actually.
2 clean races that Leonage has to get, and Rudd can't get 2 clean races. Then it's game on again. It's only going to be back to within a couple points.
And it's not necessarily a point about pole position anymore, because pole position is only worth 1 point these days. So
correct. So it's all about clean races. And I mean, if Leonage gets 2 pole positions over the next 2 weeks, 2 clean races, and Rudd doesn't get the 2 clean the clean race bonus or the pole positions, and Rudd finishes second. I mean, if Leonage finishes first, Rudd finishes second over the 2 weeks, and everything goes Leonage's way, it's game on again for tie in first place.
It certainly is. That's the top 10. Let's keep that scrolling, JP, and let everyone know where their favourite driver is sitting, because there were a couple of winners and losers in all of that tonight. But as we do that, let Matt Davis take centre stage here and preview what we can expect tomorrow night at 20 past 8 Australian Eastern Daylight Time.
One word, carnage? No, definitely not carnage. You got to throw it in the mix there. You got to throw it in the mix there, mate. But look, Super 2E series, what can I say about those guys? I mean, holy heck, they're the up-and-coming stars. You see Jamie Davis. You see Scholesy, who's back in the commentary booth again. I really wanted to wish I actually could have got a quick word with him to congratulate him for joining us back in the booth. But now that he's off air and you probably end up watching the broadcast back, mate, congratulations on joining us back in the booth. It is good to see you back up here and having a chat with us, guys. But, I mean, those guys from the Super 2E series, They've come up into the Super Series now. They're really starting to duke it out. And that just goes to show the talent that these Super 2 Series drivers are starting to provide us on a Wednesday night motorsport. I mean, it's unbelievable. Coming into Hungaroring, brand new track. They've only done a handful of laps throughout the week, some more than others. It's really going to show who's the dedicated driver to this series and who wants the championship most tomorrow night, I think.
Indeed it is. Mate, thank you very much for stepping in at the 11th hour there for our good mate Chris Kisby. I know we get to work together
on the late call backup.
Yeah, exactly. I know we get to work on a couple of occasions this season. I'm really looking forward to that. Of course, culminating in the big dance at Mount Panorama on December 12th.
With a good time.
Mate, we are all excited about that one. But great to have you in the commentary box tonight. Great to have your company as always, and well done on a good call. Let's have a look ahead on the platforms of SimShed Broadcasting, wherever you're tuning in, all around Australia, because, by gee, as always, there's some good racing ahead. Tomorrow night, the RSRA Super 2 E-Series from right here, the Hungaroring in Budapest, Hungary, the newest circuit on the iRacing platform. It's not. That's one thing I didn't even, because we're out of time, I didn't even get a chance to ask these guys how much work went into learning the circuit. That's something
I could only say one word: lots.
Yeah. It would have had to have been, because it's not the easiest track to master, and it's and the fact of the matter is that when you get onto a new circuit, it's the guys that can get the hang of it the quickest that usually reap the reward, and that's what we saw tonight, no doubt, through Rainer Costello. Anyway, he already openly admitted that this week he had far more practice than and preparation than the previous two rounds, and it showed.
It does show. I mean, look, some drivers really come to terms with the track really quick. Others can take more than just a handful of laps. Sometimes they can be turning over 250 laps on a circuit just to get the practice in. But sometimes turning that 250, 300 laps around a circuit can undo them sometimes as well. I mean, the guys, they could just overdo themselves for the week. The tracks, they come to you naturally over time, as it always does with seat time, and that's always the going factor within the racing scene. So, I mean, doing a whole heap of laps, 300 laps in a week, that could overdo it, and when it comes race night, you start to get the nerves and they really get to the better of you. Where, if, say we have Hungaroring next year on the first season of the calendar, you could see guys that would really struggle tonight really excel because the track comes to them over a gradual time. So, I mean, look, lots of practice would have gone in for a new track. That's probably another reason why we've got such a big crowd tonight, because being a new track, everybody wants to have a crack at it. And to see a 38 grid race for 1 and 2 in a reverse grid style, my God, that's the biggest field that I've seen for a reverse grid race.
Well, let's talk US dollars for a moment. $14.95 for a new circuit, 38. The iRacing Telethon just inherited $568, courtesy of the people of the RSRA Super Series tonight. It'll be a similar number tomorrow night, no doubt.
Roughly about $1,100, $1,200 across the two series, which is,
it's a good night out for iRacing, no doubt about that.
It definitely is.
But it was a good night out for us as well. So that's tomorrow night, 8:20. Your good mate Dean Redditor will be back with you in the booth, won't he?
Hopefully, mate. He's got a very crook wife at the moment, and he's looking after the little one. That's why he couldn't race tonight. So, Dean, if you are watching, mate, I reckon you are. I hope to see you in the booth tomorrow night. If not, I'll hold down the fort, and we hope to see you back next week, fighting fit and roaring to go for Super Series and the Super 2 E Series call.
Indeed. Saturday night, Weekend Warriors Cup car racing. Second and last time we'll do that this year. Round 34 or 35 from Michigan. Did good to top last week. That was sensational with the late race caution, throwing the spanner in the works. We had great fun there at the Nashville Super Speedway. We go to Michigan next week and looking forward to that immensely. And then on to Daytona for the SimShed 500. And we're looking forward to that on October 23. Next Tuesday, of course, final... sorry, not final round. No, fourth round, I should say. I got my Fs wrong. And that's not the first time that someone's had that moment in the last 10 minutes. But it's the fourth round of the series, first round of the Triple Crown, and final trip to Long Beach for us for the year. I knew there was a reason why I wanted to mention the word final. It's our final. We had a trip to Long Beach back in season 1. We've got our trip to second and final one for the season in term 3 or semester, trimester 3, as we like to call it here, because we've only done 3 seasons. And that will be next Tuesday night. Round 4, 202 kilometres, 64 laps. Looking forward to it immensely on the platforms of SimShed broadcasting around Australia. That will be from 8:20 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. And if it's anything like what we saw tonight, you don't want to miss it. Make sure you are here. Socceroos are in action at the moment against Japan. Closing stages of that match. Go and get amongst that as Tuesday night sport continues. We've had fun on the motorsport front. The Hungaroring doesn't always throw up delicious, entertaining, delightful, fantastic, sensational racing, but it did tonight. It was absolutely phenomenal. It was a rip snorter right from the outset, and we suspected it would be with the reverse grid aspect of the evening. Dylan Rudd, too good in race 1. Rainer Costello in race 2. Dylan Rudd wins the round. Dylan Rudd has the championship lead. 3 rounds down, 8 to go. That's the way we do it. We'll see you tomorrow night as the Super 2E series continues on the platforms of SimShed Broadcasting. Saturday for the Weekend Warriors, and then back here next Tuesday night for more scintillating Super Series action for Goodyear Autocare Warana. On behalf of Matt Davis, JP, and the team, I'm Zach Caban. That's the way we do it. Game over.